Live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Where we're from, the 12 tribes of Israel, 721 BC, the Assyrian king, he took us down, we fell, with a great escape we went to the Euphrates, the Lord held the water. To a land where no mankind dwells.
Just put it in there.
We went.
See the power for it?
12 tribes of Israel.
Now make sure it's not tangled under that stuff. Pull it from the back. Yeah.
The Lord is calling back Israel. North American Indians, the highest gathering Israel.
The Arabs and Africans told us at gunpoint.
Together our wives and children sold us. In the belly of these great ships we traveled and seen.
By the rivers of Babylon we found our brothers here.
A highest gathering in Colombia, moving from Australia. It's a cup of Mexicans. A highest
Our highest gathering in Israel. Reuben from Australia, Issachar, the Mexicans. That's who we be, we be. Hit that like button as you come in. Come on, hit the like button. Y'all know the routine. Yeah. The Lord is calling back Israel. Simeon, the Dominicans, our highest gathering Israel. Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm Elder Rawchaa here along with Elder Lawya of the Gathering of Christ Church. I would like to say shalom to my brothers and sisters worldwide. I'm glad you're able to join us this evening through our weekly broadcast. Of course, we have a timely discussion to do this evening in the wake of all that's happening in the earth. I thank the Most High, Ahaya Bashim Yeshai, Rawchaa, for breath. I thank him for the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, to guide us through, to give us understanding through these turbulent, troubled times. And I also thank the Most High for all of you. And I really thank the Most High, above all, well beyond anything I thought could have happened, for the Gathering of Christ Church, the brothers and sisters who are laboring throughout the earth, bringing the serious understanding and doctrine of Christ, baptized in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, bringing Israel back to the Most High. So guess what? Like I said before, I cannot thank the members of the church, the men, women, and children, and those who are making the Most High proud during this awakening. All praises be to the Most High and the families who are enduring. I mean, there's a lot going on right now. There's a lot going on. We hear what's going on with the coronavirus right now and the hysteria. And I don't understand how a pandemic can actually be an epidemic, can actually be claimed to be an epidemic if only 20 people or 30 people are quote unquote quarantined. And how many people of our nation in this earth just die over frivolous things daily? Okay, and now they're making this big hysteria. For those who missed the academy, man, I'll tell you right now, Shapat brought some serious intel on this so-called coronavirus, as well as reports from brothers that we have there in China who's there. And I'll tell you right now, it's more so about the vaccine than it will be about the hysteria. The scariest thing about this so-called, not the virus, but the international plans with the vaccine is it's almost the same treatment. They put in what they would call an HIV genetic marker in the vaccine, which will make it where if you have a compromised immunity through vaccines or whatever the case, usually that's an HIV marker. Now, if they can then test people after taking this vaccine, and with that marker, even though nothing is wrong with you, but you have a marker, a genetic marker, a defect, they will call you HIV positive, and by doing so, force you into the medication. Now, the medication leads to these symptoms that would make one believe that a person has AIDS. Drying up, can't fight any diseases, dying right before your loved ones. And they believe in this disease, and it's really the antidote, or what you would call the medicine for the particular virus. I'm gonna tell you, they're pushing everyone into this HIV thing. Now that our people have begun to awaken concerning that whole fake campaign to get us on the medication, they're looking to now roll it out to the world under some what they call it, coronavirus. Yeah, I could see them in the room by themselves laughing and celebrating how many how many people will die of this, toasting with Coronas, with a lime on the top of it. But I digress. Stay prayed up, sin not, and don't believe the hype. Okay, you heard what Chuck D said.
That's right.
And Public Enemy said, don't believe the hype, folks. We heard this same hysteria and hype with the swine flu. We hear all this every flu season when it comes around. Oh my God. Then they put an expert out saying, don't be alarmed, da 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 da. And at the end of the day, they're pushing another drug on the population. So be careful. We're not saying that the disease doesn't exist, because of course they're cooking up all types of evil in these so-called chop shops that they call chemical testing plants, or they got their own little areas that they cook up all this mess in. Okay, don't believe the hype. Okay, now I'm gonna digress off of that because I really have a timely discussion today. All right, and the title of this discussion will be from unrighteousness to righteousness. The behaviors within our communities which are often overlooked, and why. Okay, now, of course, this all comes down to what's going on with our men and women, continuing that discussion. All right, continuing in the same vein of that discussion, okay? From unrighteousness to righteousness. The behaviors we often overlook within our communities, and why. It's easy to identify what exists. We can easily go into seeing the results of what exists and where it leads us. But then, have we ever sat down together or conversated and came to the conclusions to why the behaviors are often overlooked that are hurting our people, which are the curses? Well, I want to discuss that this evening. And I want to title this, to leave it with a positive spin, from unrighteousness to righteousness. No sense in pointing out anything that's going on within our nation, within this world, without offering solutions, without putting forth an earnest effort to change the world. Now, this can go in either direction y'all would like. I'm going to open it up. 515-605-9327. Let me put that out there. 515-605-9327. Okay. Now, one other thing I wanted to bring out real quick before we jump into this. Right? One other thing I wanted to bring out was the fact that a lot of you don't realize this, but the Passover will soon be upon us. Okay? I need you all in your own time to go to gatheringofchrist.org. First of all, you need to go there because all of our information is on there. We have the Blog Talk Radio where you can link to that. Our YouTube Sabbath Radio broadcast. The Hebrew and Bible Academy. A matter of fact, the new calendar, the 2020 calendar, is out for the righteous Sabbath calendar year. And you can get that on the website. I wanted to put that out there. Make sure you hit likes as you come on here because I want to make sure you hit the likes. Okay, so everything is there. But if you go to Holy Day Overview, you tap on to Holy Day Overview, right? And it'll show you the full list. It'll break down the holy days for you, all of that. Mm-hmm. It'll give you the holy days overview to give you the insight to why the Most High teaches us as a nation to follow the high holy days according to his word. It also breaks down, that's right, it breaks down all of the holy days, all of them, in order, Passover, on and on and on and on. It's broken down. All right, let me cut this on. Okay, that's great. Now, this Passover will be in March, and for the brothers and sisters in the church, okay, let me do this. For the brothers and sisters in the church, because people are calling and I got to shut this down. Hold on. For the brothers and sisters in the church, one moment. We need you all to make sure you get with the elders and deacons in your respective areas to make sure you have your seat in the Passover because it will be in Pittsburgh this year. The seats are filling in. And the last thing we want to deal with is some issues with brothers and sisters saying that they're not able to get in. It's limited seating. So I'm putting it before you right here. I'm Elder Rawchaa telling you it will be in Pittsburgh this year. And you need to get before all the other people because we've got new people being baptized and all of that who are going to be getting seats almost immediately. So make sure you go to your elder and deacon and begin reserving your seats in your respective areas, especially in the United States. Make sure you get with your local chapter of the Gathering of Christ Church and set it up for you and your family so you're not dealing with issues when the Passover come upon us. Mm-hmm. Do me a favor, pull up the date on there. Hold on. Sir. You have it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right here. The Passover will be March the 20th. March the 20th is the Passover. Get in your reservations and everything now, as soon as possible. Now, if you're on the West Coast, of course, that's the California who's going to have theirs on the West Coast. But still, get your reservations on the West Coast. And if you are planning to attend the Passover, March the 20th, hey, it's going to be off the, man. Let me tell you, Sister Shirley came over for the last couple of weeks to the headquarters. One moment. Oh, that's Sister Shirley there. Oh, there she goes. Oh, Lord have mercy. Lord.
I want you to keep that under wraps.
Okay. She's. Okay. See, I'm putting all the stuff out. I can't keep nothing. I just tell it all. Right. But Sister Shirley is coming, and There's some things we have that we're going to be doing at this Passover that's going to blow you away. Okay. But I'm going to be teaching, breaking down Christ's last 7 days at the Passover. But the events during the Passover, she just called me to try, to put a gag on me so that I can't let the cat out of the bag in what we're doing in preparation for the Passover. So, okay, Sister Shirley, I'm sorry. I'm going to put a gag on it. I'm not going to tell everyone, you want to make it to that Passover in Pittsburgh. So she says, Elder, put a gag on it. You don't want to tell people. We want to surprise them with what we have in store. So I'm going to let it be. I mean, you can tell who is telling everything coming up. But anyway, I digress. March the 20th, we'll be there. We'll be at the Passover, and we're going to try to unite this worldwide on certain screens. We're going to have it where I'm going to have a private screen in my room in which all the elders who are in the church can now link into the elders that are in the UK during the Passover and talk and, encourage them there where they can see us. We can see them. Also internationally, if you're in the East, we're going to have you on screen where you can see us in our room and we can see you, interact with you. If you're in California, no matter where you'll be, we're going to try to link this body as one for this Passover, understanding that the time will soon draw near in which all of us, if it be the Lord's will make it together to that wilderness. The next thing I wanted to talk about, last but not least, Elder Lawya. I don't know if you got the news, but Elder Lawya and I, we will be in England. I have to see my London family. I can't wait to sit down with the London family, the Birmingham family, the Manchester family, and bring this thing together. We're going to be in England for Purim. So the midweek of February, Elder Lawya and ourselves, we will be in England teaching, dropping the knowledge all on the streets and all that. And we're going to have our private meetings in preparation for what's to come with our England body. All man, woman, and children on deck. This is the time we've been talking about. This is the time the Most High have prepared us for. And I've talked to, and I'm in constant conversation with the elders and the brothers who are warring here in America. But it's time to sit down privately and discuss where this thing goes forward and how we finish this thing together. And I can't wait. Purim. Yes, Elder Lawya. Did you hear about that already?
It's my first time hearing it, and based on you making the announcement now, for those who are, because I told the brothers and sisters in Tennessee I would be there for Purim, but you heard it first. You heard it along with myself. We're going to be in England. So for those who are in Tennessee, I'll speak with you all and see how we can still have things rocking and rolling in Tennessee for Purim, and I'll set up a date where I can travel there at a later time. But as you heard, we're going to be in England.
Oh yeah,
I
but don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, Tennessee, because since I'm dragging him with me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plan for a holy day, probably first fruits or something, where when it's time to come to Tennessee, you won't have Lawya alone. Guess what? I'm coming to Tennessee with you.
Absolutely.
How about that?
Absolutely.
Let's pound on that.
Absolutely.
So you get 2 for the price of 1. What you want, huh?
That's right.
Boom! All praises. 854 people in. I'm excited about this particular broadcast. I'm excited about this. Okay? From unrighteousness to righteousness, the behaviors often overlooked within our communities. The behaviors of the subculture, let me put it that way. The behaviors with the subculture that exists within our communities. Why are the things that are hurting us overlooked? And why? I sure would like to hear your opinions on this, brothers and sisters. 515-605-9327. Now, before we go into this, because I think it's a perfect segue, because I really want to focus on the men this broadcast. Not to say we're not going to bring in everything, but I would like to focus on the men. and what's allowed in our communities and why we allow them. Highlight the moral things, the spiritual things, the physical things, whatever you can point to that we allow to fester within our communities that are destroying us inwardly. Let's identify what that is and why. And see if we can now come together under this Bible, under God, to fix as much as we can before it implodes, before it takes us all together, because we're on the cusp of persecution. We're on the cusp of persecution, brothers and sisters. That's where we are. You understand? And through it all, I'm going to tell you, folks, only those under the hedge of the Most High will make it through this time.
That's right.
So let's talk about this. From unrighteousness to righteousness. Now, let me bring Elder Gabar in a second, because, of course, Elder Gabar had a lesson that was out there a couple of weeks ago, in which he was going into aspects of, the negative aspects of women that are affecting our brothers inordinately. But one thing about that is, and he understood, and he's going to come on, is that was more so a private class that was aimed towards the people within his congregation initially. Okay. And it got out there and it got all different types of reviews, positive, negatives, whatever the case may be. I had, we discussed it and all that. And the whole thing is, and we both agree, is that we don't want brothers or sisters out there, brothers in particular, taking our words and using them for their own carnal actions. Okay. Because you have some people who are straight tyrants. You have some people who are straight misogynists. And I'm not just talking about out there in the world. Some people who's trying to impose their will using the Bible to do so, which is wrong. And if they can get any level of justification thinking that we agree with those behaviors, we will end up having more issues. You understand? We'll end up having more issues than beforehand. So, and we discussed that. Like that private conversation he was having initially with his congregation was people who know him and know, what he means when he's relaying information, and they know him personally to be able to decipher even the gray areas that was within that, not dissertation, but that discussion. You can call it dissertation, whatever the case is. But there's people who know him who can see the gray areas and know his heart and how loving and caring he is, and how much he wants for this nation to be right under the Most High. They're not going to look at any of the gray areas and give him negative blowback for it. But there's people that view the video who have never seen anything before and don't know him, that may, get some different opinions. I'm just saying in general, you understand. And I just want to put that out there for those who were looking for the lessons. Look, we're going to leave those lessons private for people who are within, who have the knowledge to understand, who've been operating with us. Okay. Oh, there go Elder Gabar. You with us?
Yes, sir, Elder. I'm on cue. Can you guys hear me?
My man. Pots and pans. Elder Gabar. The floor is yours.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you, Elder. I wanted to kind of, you and I have been talking behind the scenes, and I've been, assessing the situation, and then you've been assessing the situation.
Yeah.
And then, when we decided to take those videos down, there was always, because I got no saturation between 15 and 20, either a combination from phone calls or text or emails about the lessons and things of that nature.
Okay.
And wondering why it's down.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be transparent with everybody in the GOCC, so that there is there's no misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And sometimes when people don't get an answer, they'll begin to create their own answer and create, well, there's a vision, or there is issues with leadership, and I wanted to just make it clear that's not even remotely the case. So let me kind of give a perspective for people to understand why, even I was feeling a certain kind of way. I realized even before you and I, Elder, talked and things of that nature, to already took the videos down in regards of this. And then we got stuff from the beginning. My original motivation is to kind of have two videos on, and people, they know me. I am stern sometimes. I'm loving, but I'm also stern. I got all that, personality within me that are straight to the point, right? Because sometimes when you're not straight to the point, people take that not straight to the point as a leeway to, go somewhere else. However, I wanted to do a video for correcting the sisters, correcting the brothers. I was trying to do another video of the previous week to correct the brothers, and then kind of be those two videos to kind of balance those things out, right? That was my original motivation, right?
Okay, yeah.
So then I did the first video. Dealing with the sisters. And then I was there, everybody heard my passion, heard what went down, right? Then what happened is, in the preparing of the lesson for the men, I already had an idea where I was going. I was about to come hard. I was about to do my thing. But certain things began to happen that I realized, okay, I began to get phone calls from people when the lessons were still up. Great lesson, Elder. Great this, great that. And we cover certain things within the lesson that, was addressing the sisters and things of that nature, right?
Yeah.
But I realized that although I was getting advice, I was getting great accolades on the lesson, behavior was not being changed. I was noticing behind the scenes and looking at people's behavior. And let me give you kind of examples of sisters coming to me before they go to their husband. We covered that. Sisters sometimes looking at or not adjusting the social media image that may be luring men a certain direction or promoting a certain image that maybe they don't are aware of what they're portraying. And that's why we're telling sisters the lesson. Sisters, be careful with the social media. Don't be taken with the social media. They're watching us to begin with. You don't want to put every single picture that you ever took in the rest of your life on social media and all that. So I was dropping all that, right? So what I realized that everybody was excited about the next lesson. I can't wait for next week, Elder. I can't wait for next week. But I realized that behaviors were not being changed. And you point out certain things that somewhere within the lesson, that because it's out there, somebody could take certain of the things of that's in the lesson and misconstrued it in, like you were saying, man could use that to be tyrant, right? Now, I was saying, is that's going to be a situation that men could use to be tyrants in the lesson, and I'm about to go and go hard on the men, then the opposite could also be true when I come out with the lesson with the men. And because I noticed that there hasn't really been any behavioral changes within these lessons, I began to say, okay, I know what's going on here. The Most High revealed this and told me, all right, those lessons have to come down because they're not really helping in a sense of, everybody's giving me high fives, but the things that I'm addressing, I'm noticing people are still doing. So I said, you know what, let me take this thing down. So I don't have to worry about what people that don't know me or people that, don't really know the church and with our background could utilize these things against us. And let me have a conversation with the people of the church without the social media aspect, because I believe that sometimes there's certain things that elders must discuss among ourselves. There's certain things that the GOCC church must discuss among themselves that is not in the airways. And of course, there's lessons that are deemed for the airways and things of that nature. this was also even a learning process for me in many ways. So, that's the reason why I took the video down, and you concurred, and we all been talking about this for almost like 2 weeks now about the subject matter. Then now say, you know what, should we take it up, should we leave it up, and then like we get positive response, but then we get one negative, and I said, you know what, let me even go into that zone, take it all down.
Okay.
So now so I wanted to just address the congregation and the people if they ask me about the video, and can I send them a copy? The answer is going to be no. Okay, and we're going to go into a different direction in what we're looking to do. And I don't know, Elder, if you want me to address it, you want to address it, and what we're going to go, what we got planned to do. And things that is for the congregation. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, I just want you to have your say, because people will know initially that it had nothing to do with anything of disagreements or variances of elders, and I wanted you to explain it yourself. But in a nutshell, as far as building our nation and bringing information, you understand, that will help our nation, we're going to start having regular classes for family, men classes, women classes, where we can talk to each other and grow each other according to the word of the Most High. Thus saith the Most High. And so what Elder Gabar and us discussed, what we talked about before this broadcast, is him, when he come down here, us going over the 7 classes that we're going to implement throughout all of our churches. And you have to be a part of the classes in the church to actually be a part of those. The information that we can put out publicly, for those who don't know us, we'll get that type of version of it. But when it's come to family, sometimes we have to turn it up within the church when it's affecting brothers and sisters real time within the body. And we don't want outside people, viewing that and coming to negative conclusions or whatever the case is, because there's things we can talk about in-house and work out. You understand? That shouldn't be for the mass consumptions. It shouldn't be for it shouldn't become an outward spectacle, because that's in-house cleaning. You understand? So there's, that's the whole deal. So we're going to have these lessons that you can come into these classes if you're a part of the church and get the higher level, the meat level of the spirit that's behind dividing us, our families. What's that spirit that keeps man going against woman and woman against man? How do we quantify that and understand that spirit and neutralize it according to the word and identify it? Okay, because it's not just a man or woman problem. It's an us problem. It's a we problem. And I don't ever want anyone anywhere to ever on the outside of our lessons believe that there's something where men are standing on one side of the line and women are standing on the other side of the line. Because you hear something publicly, well, why? It just seems like it's the woman. Well, you're not in the classes to see how men are dealt with. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to be straight with you. And I'm going to be straight up, and you can have the last word, Gabar. I'm going to tell you right now. Women would not be able to withstand the correction that happens, that we deal with when correcting brothers. Mm-hmm. Women wouldn't be able to stomach that. Mm-hmm. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And I'm going to tell you right now, women wouldn't be able to stomach the same correction that brothers get within the work, because we have to give honor to the woman as the weaker vessel. It takes a woman longer to recover from emotional duress and stress. And we have to, and being elders, we have to understand that. So I just wanted to make sure everyone understands there's no line in Christ's church between men and women. And if I ever see anybody taking it that way, and It's up to us to do what? To destroy all heresy. Heresy means division. And if men is against women and women is against men in the same church, that's heresy. You have the last word, Gabar.
You covered most of the points and things of that nature. It's just one of those things that, as elders, we go through, elder, you overseeing all the, whatever churches numbers we have. I'm overseeing the Northeast regions. I don't know how many churches we have and things of that nature, but we deal with these day-to-day issues and things of that nature that we realize that now we have to start having more a intimate workshop and teachings and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And you're right that when we air that, it causes more damage that we attempt to do that. Then you're right that when we are coming down on the brothers, that should not be public.
Yeah.
In the same way, when we are coming down on sisters, that should not be public.
Exactly.
Because when it becomes public, then it becomes now it becomes the talking of the week. It becomes the conversational piece and yada yada yada. But when I began to feel some kind of way about the situation, it's like, I'm not somebody's clown. I'm not here to amuse people. I'm not here to be the talk of the week. But yet people are still acting the same way, and that class can be causing more damage than good because it's in the airwaves.
Yeah.
So I'm a type of guy that I only got to learn once from my mistake, and I see it like, you know what? Nah, I see where it's going. The airwaves is a place for the airwaves. It's a place for social media. But the social media thing, there's certain things that doesn't belong there, because it is cost. You can't avoid it. It's going to cause risk. So we're going to set up these workshops in the church, and I'm going to sit down with you elders, and we're going to chop this thing out and things. It's going to be 7 classes, workshop, and how to make men men. Yeah. And we're going to deal with the sisters, how to make women women. And Sister Shirley's going to be helping me out with that and things of that nature. And all I'm asking is for the people that are not in New York, be patient, because this is going to be something we're going to be working, and then we're going to be training the elders and deacons of each church, and then they're going to be rolling it out.
It's going to be rolled out for everyone, so they don't got to worry about it. It's going to be good. All right, Elder Gabar, exactly. You can stay on hold. Because you can stay on hold. I thank you for coming on and clearing the air on that. Right now, we're about to go into the broadcast, and anytime you want to come in, just chime in. You have your hand on the button, right?
Amen. I'll be listening.
All right, I'm gonna put your hand on the button. Anytime you want to come in, just jump in. You have full board. You have full authority to come in at any time. All right. All right.
Bless you, Elder.
Bless you. That's Elder Gabar jumping right in, Elder Lawya, from unrighteousness to righteousness. The behaviors within our subculture, which are often overlooked, and we need to ask the question, why? Mental, spiritual, physical, whichever point you would want to bring that you can point to, in which we can quantify it and do some ghost busting this evening. From unrighteousness to righteousness. Now, one thing I wanted to bring out, and I'm saying this is because there's one particular behavior that I isolated within our communities, Elder Lawya, and you can speak on it if you may, that I've isolated, that has always been that have always had a negative effect within our communities and usually covered up, is molestation. I'm going to start there. Now, why am I starting there? There was this European explorer, right? Come on. And I need you to get that out of the Bible when it says, "Want to take a maiden?" There's a European explorer. It's in this book, you notice I'm all in this book. The Negro in the New World by Sir Harry H. Johnston. It's in the Smithsonian Institute, in which they took a public case study on all the slaves that were taken through the transatlantic slave trade to document the societal anomalies which developed from one landmass or one plantation or one country to the next, documenting the curse of the children of Israel being taken into cargo slave ships according to the Bible. Well, they were documenting our slavery straight from Africa to the shores of the lands of our captivity. In one of his observations, he went into one area where the slaves were sort of semi-free to do their own deal, to operate separate from the white man. And this is one of the anomalies they found out. That in some cases where we were operating amongst ourselves, there was inordinate reports of grown men or teenagers violating or going after young black girls. Now, this was a white man documenting this, where the leaders of our community had to form some type of an alliance and all that to try to combat that area that was harming us. And it was a perpetual thing where you can expect, if they came in an area where our people were, that some children were getting taken advantage of by grown men. Okay? And that was documented off the shores. Not to say, because usually when we look at slavery, Elder Lawya, we point to the white man separating us, the white man raping us, and they did all these things. I'm not downplaying that. I'm not downplaying the effects on that. But what I won't accept is us saying that we learned that from the white man. And I'm going to say that because in the Bible, it speaks of that same activity going on. When we were a nation in Israel and laws were put in place to try to help us through that nature. And I'm going to frame that word nature for a purpose. And it seemed as if molestation and sexual abuse and all that runs rampant in our communities, but yet it's continually covered up. We know this exists outside of the white man, but yet has, I don't know what it is, this fearful spirit to speak up for our children. What is this? This rampant perpetual curse that allow predators, grown folk, and I'm not just talking about men doing this, women doing this, preying on our youth. And it's been a perpetual generational cover-up since our inception. And we're talking about from unrighteousness to righteousness, the behaviors often overlooked, and why. Why do we overlook the inordinate numbers, the exorbitant numbers? Why do we ignore the rape and the fornication and molestation to continue amongst our youth? What are we missing here? And why are the molesters covered up? I want to start there. Elder Lawya, anytime.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
515-605-9327.
Yes, sir. I'm going to read the account first. Of course, I want to follow the direction you're going. But
yeah,
as you mentioned, a lot of times we make mention of what the white man did and the destructive activities that he perpetrated against us, like the rape, the robbery, and murder. And usually we begin to attribute our use of those things or us practicing those things to learning it from him, when these things, as you mentioned, in the Bible, there's several accounts of our people delving into these things without the influence of the white man. And in some cases, Us delving into some of these things led to the Most High sending nations against us like the white man as a punishment because we decided to delve into those things.
Exactly. So just pull out what you have, just a few scriptures, so that because we have to be able to discern a nature that was in us that led to this curse, and not point to everything negative we exhibit as a people and point that to the white man. We'll never have a cure or fix if everything negative amongst us that happens amongst us that we allow is blamed on the white man. So let's go back and show you these same behaviors were in us before captivity, before the white man. Chapter and verse.
Yes, sir. This is Deuteronomy chapter 22. I also have another one after this.
Yes.
Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse number, let's go to verse number 22. If a man be found lying with a woman married to an husband, then they shall both of them die, both the man that lay with the woman and the woman.
So here's an example of straight adultery. Now, in the Old Testament, what's natural today, we had zero tolerance for. If a man and woman was found together outside of their marriage, if a man dealt with a woman or a husband's wife was found in another man's bed, they were both put to death. Now, this happens all the time. I mean, even till this day, how many Instagram messages and all that wives get from the men outside of their relationship on a daily basis? But that's just the husband and wife. Let's keep on going.
Verse number 23. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto an husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her.
So this woman was promised to someone else or like someone else, but another guy know it, and he imposed his will on her. Rape. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of women, believe it or not, a lot of women are quiet concerning the things that have happened to them growing up. They're looking to protect their shame or cover that shame that happened to them growing up. And it's inordinate. It happens to a lot of our sisters who have never even uttered what actually happened to them growing up as children. They've silenced themselves, but yet they still live with that pain that shows itself negatively throughout all of the relationships or the relationships or courtships they're a part of as they grow. It's that little girl that was touched or wasn't protected. That little girl. Why do we allow that little girl to go through these things? What environment would allow this to happen to the little girls and have her silenced to a degree in which she'll hold this pain, this wickedness that was done against her by a full-grown person? And look at the effects it's having on the generations, the future generations, based on all that hurt that's bottled in, an unprotected young girl. But this is a damsel, come on.
Verse 24. Then you shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die. The damsel, because she cried not, being in the city.
So because she was supposed to say something. Now people would ask, well, hold up. Under the Old Testament law, why was she stoned? He took her. The Lord was like, no. You knew what this guy, this moment didn't just happen. Something led up to this moment. You should have been said something about this man, coaxing you into these areas or trying to rap to you and try to dishonor your family behind your back. It was zero tolerance in Israel, folks. It's like, listen, you were supposed to say it. You were supposed to have told on this wicked man, these predators in our neighborhoods. Go on.
And the man, because he hath humbled his neighbor's wife.
Because he has humbled his neighbor's wife.
So thou shalt put away evil among you.
Why? Because what spirit will materialize out of that union? Every physical act when a man and a woman comes together becomes a spiritual union which produces something. Either life, righteousness, or unrighteousness. So it's something the Most High understood with the children who would come through such behaviors. Children coming in through dishonorable unions. That's a product that can only do more harm than good. So we're talking about this here. Why is it, and I'm going to ask you, Lawya, just on the surface before you go to the next one. What is it about our community? What is it about us that cover up these children who are being taken advantage of and molested in our communities from one generation to the next?
I think there's multiple elements at play. For example, the scripture says a gift spoileth the heart. You may have a situation where a mother may know her child, son or daughter, is being molested by an uncle, family member, close friend, but because this person is either providing some type of service, providing some type of either financial compensation to the mother, she will allow it to happen. And sometimes even the father will allow these things to happen because of some type of financial compensation. Another thing is shame, trying to cover the shame of the family. Well, if this happened to your child, where were you? What type of parent are you to allow this to happen to your child? And you, understanding the environment that was at play, you were probably out working, trying to provide for your family, but you don't want that stigma on your household that you are the parent that put your child in a vulnerable situation to be molested. So now that comes into play. So, and that's just two examples. I can't speak for every example, but those are two examples that I've come to realize with some of these situations.
Man, that's deep in itself, man, because I'm looking at what's going on even with the R. Kelly thing, and no one is pointing to what happened to him at 8 years old as the underlying issue that created this insatiable sin this man battled with since the age of 8. No one is actually looking at the entry point of the demon. But go on, Elder Rawchaa.
Yes, sir. And there's one more thing on that.
Yeah.
You have the situation where you have the Christian mother primarily, okay, not the down the sisters, but usually there's a thing where the child will come to them. Either they won't believe the child, or they'll know the child is telling the truth, but they'll say things like, don't worry about it. God will handle it. God's going to deal with it.
But what is this?
Lord knows.
What, I mean, can we, it's deep because I'm reading the Bible. I can't put my finger on this. Why does this exist?
Right.
And it's allowed to exist as a generational curse. We all know about it. Even Eddie Murphy and others went on stage and joked about that, you know, that funny uncle that everyone keeps their eyes on, that you know he's touching people he have no business. Why do we allow this freak uncle to exist? On and on and on and on. It's like, what is this spirit? Let me tell you, it's a dark cloud. It's a curse. This is a curse when you see something, when you see the cancer, to only coexist with it. That's a curse. And like, if we could see these issues and fix them, wouldn't that be the beginning of us coming out of the curse? So the curse in itself is the fact that it's a simple solution. That's the curse in itself. But we would rather coexist with the subculture that's actually destroying us inwardly. That's the curse in itself. The fact that we coexist and own up to it, or even brag about it to some degree. That's the curse. But go on, Elder Rawchaa.
Yes, sir.
And of course, I'm going into this men thing. I have to go into this men thing. because it was upon a man, the father, to protect that daughter. Here it is at the end of the day. All of us are looking at the byproduct of women who really had no protection all their life, who have insulated themselves and created a protective mechanism, a hard posterity. They had to create that with no protection. And no man anywhere is looking at that and saying, well, that's the product that's pumped out from a cursed generation, a cursed community. That's the woman you get without a father, without a protector. That's the woman you get. The woman you complaining about was a product of a man not protecting her in her most vulnerable state. We always point to the end. Anybody can look at the end result and point to it and see what is and break it down. But where's the man in all of this? So let's talk about it. Because here it is. I'm gonna tell you, and I'm going here. You have even a lot of Israelite groups and others would like to talk about, polygamy has always been a part of our nation, and the black man he always had more than one woman, and going into all this stuff, right? Then we complain about the product or the woman that becomes a product, a damaged product. We complain about the damaged woman. And then on the other hand saying, well, I want 7 of them. You know what the woman is who needs healing. You complain about that woman, but then say, well, the Lord says I can have 7 of them. I'm going to show you how ridiculous men are thinking. When Christ came to heal the fatherless, he came to heal the sick. And we're looking at this thing all wrong. What's going on with our nation cannot be healed physically. Okay, it has to be healed through the spirit first. As soon as we see someone, we're thinking about the flesh, not realizing the majority of our sisters have grown up and grow up in a generational curse and are hiding pain that have been ignored. And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about all of that. From unrighteousness to righteousness, the behaviors that are often overlooked and why. I hear the same brothers out there talking about how women ain't this and women ain't that, women ain't this and women ain't that. And I'm just talking in general. I'm talking about these other Israelite groups who will use that same scripture if you fall on a woman or take a damsel and marry her and say it's okay to rape a woman. And then you have people out there, you know the majority of our women are suffering the curse, but you out here saying, yeah, I want 3-4 of them cursed women. Where's the lessons breaking down how to fix our nation? How to protect our children? Where are those lessons at? And I'm speaking in general. I'm talking about the world that looks straight to everything carnally first. But go on, Elder Lawya. I'm sorry, I'm digressing.
Yes, no problem. And I'm going to get back to the scripture we were reading in Deuteronomy, but I think some of this goes back to the lesson we just did this past Sabbath. Yeah. The fact that we have the law, we have the commandments, but at the same time, we have this evil heart that we're battling against. So we receive the commandments, and instead of using the commandments to heal ourselves, we take on those commandments with this evil, wicked, perverse heart and look at the law and try to use it as a means of fulfilling that lust that we have in our hearts.
To satisfy our own lust.
Exactly.
So we can go into the law when it benefits fulfilling our own insatiable lust. To use the law to justify it. But we can't go into the law to heal our nation. To heal our people. So we're looking at things backward. Always flesh first. The whole thing is to see brothers acting out, Elder Lawya, and to see sisters acting out, understanding according to the Most High that it was a curse. It's a curse that's placed upon us. It must, all of these scenarios must be approached spiritually to understand how to get to the root of that and have people see that sin or see that abuse to a degree in which they can now overcome that curse. But we're not using the law for this. We're not using the Bible for this. We're using everything we have to attack people. Attack the man. Attack the woman. Attack the white man. Attack the nations. But yet we allow the device of subculture to destroy us inwardly. With all this knowledge, I'm going to tell you, brothers and sisters, I don't care what anyone say. No, I've never seen no one break down this Bible like an Israelite. I don't care what group they're in. I've never seen anyone break down this Bible like an Israelite. So it's not that we don't have the propensity to know the word and apply it. We know the word better than the Gentiles. But where's the fruits of all this understanding and study? But go on, Elder Lawya. Go on, I'm sorry.
Just one scripture.
And I want to hear from the people after you bring out that scripture, 515-605-9327. Because what we're going to do today is I want to hear other areas that you may have outside of our conversation. I just started off with that because I think that would be an easy solution to make a concerted effort to find out how to protect our children. And do something about the parents who would allow their children to be emotionally destroyed through molestation and all these things. That's just one area. But like I said, we're going to open the floor. 515-605-9327.
This is 1 Timothy 1:7-8. Desiring to be teachers of the law, understanding neither what they say nor whereof they affirm. But we know that the law is good if a man use it lawfully. So if it's possible to use the law lawfully, righteously, there's also a way to use the law unrighteously.
Exactly. It seemed like we become the Israelites and get the law and learn the Bible and fall backward and lose that conscience we had towards the Most High even before we knew the truth. I'm going to tell you, before I knew that I was an Israelite, I had a fear of the Most High. And it seems like we get to know this knowledge and understand we Israel and lose that, which is one of the most important elements in all of it, is to fear the Most High. And that's what it means by when the Bible tells us knowledge puffeth up.
That's right. That's right.
Knowledge puffeth up. And then we begin, as teaching the law, begin to think that we are actually above it. Now, 515-605-9327. And you know I have to go right back to Elder Gabar with this. And then I'm going to go down the line.
Absolutely.
Elder Gabar, you with me? Let me know if you're with me, Elder Gabar. Hello? Let me bring him in. Hold on. Okay. 1 second.
All praises.
Okay, Gabar, you with me?
Yes, sir, I'm here live. Listen. I'm on cue.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. You wanted to say anything before I open up the lines to everyone else? Because I want to hear their perspective. From unrighteousness to righteousness.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to hear from the people. Yeah,
Okay, good.
Hear from the people. Amen.
Okay, great.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because I hear these guys out here saying, well, yeah, we've always had more than one woman, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, hold up, brother. I'm talking about in general out there in the world, or people online saying that, and even have sisters have predisposed themselves to believe that, okay, I can look in history, throughout all of history, black men always had multiple women. Okay, that's cool. That's good. That's straight. It's okay. Okay. I need you to tie in how that led to where we are now. Because everything we did in the past doesn't make it right if it leads to where we are now.
That's right. That's right.
We got MGTOW, we got this, we got that, we got going our own way. Women ain't this, women ain't that. But then you got a number of brothers that say, I want 10 of them. Not realize.
And Elder, if I could chime in 2 seconds, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay. This is what I usually tell brothers. Okay. You got, you want to get wise and all that. Okay. Do you think, give me a prophet that you respect, right? And they'll probably throw in the Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, right? Okay. Do you believe any of these prophets, the women that you're considered to be your wives now, whatever it may be, 7 or 8 or whatever, 2, 3, whatever, were Jeremiah, Isaiah, Ezekiel, will even be looking at those women that you are considered to be wives as wife potential? And if the answer is no, that should be your answer. Because it gets caught up with, yeah, we could do it, like Elder Lawya mentions in things of that nature in the scripture, but also even Paul says all things are lawful, but all things are not filthy. We're not in the time right now to be talking about, yeah, look at what Solomon did, look at what Christ did. David did it. He had this wife and that wife. This is not the time for that. Matter of fact, this is the time for you to focus on you getting yourself corrected, not for a woman, but for your first love, which is the Most High.
Exactly.
And if you start looking at that, the argument would not be one wife, 2 wives, or whatever. I was like, you know what? Let me just work on myself whether I got 1 wife or no wife. And if it's the Most High's will, if it's His will, that He will give me a wife.
Yeah.
But, and I want to stay corrected that our standard in the church is that you only should be dealing with 1 wife, period.
That's it.
Period. So I want to just make sure if there was a misunderstanding in regards of the lesson I brought out. Because I'm going to say that the standard, and this is dealing with the brothers that are single, should be a standard that you should be the image of the Most High. And if you're dealing with the image of the Most High, you want to be that standard should be, if you're His image, don't you have His standard?
Yeah.
And what is His standard? Be ye holy because He is holy. I digress.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you, bro. And I'm going to tell you this. People talking about they got 3, 4 wives. No, you got 3, 4 accomplices. Now, it tells us this for the men. And I'm going to open up the lines. 515-605-9327. And see if you all can point out behaviors that are not normally overlooked. And explain to us why these ills are allowed within our communities. Let's point them out. And see if we can fix some of these ills with the Bible. Right? From unrighteousness to righteousness, the behaviors of a subculture often overlooked, and why. I looked at the study they did on us during the time of slavery. And one thing that even the white man chronicled amongst us through an outward observation, that if they leave us alone, the men, the grown men, will go find young girls, little girls, and deal with it. Okay? They examine that. Now, is that exclusive to us? No. We know about those white pedophiles, the Catholic Church. And that's another thing. Something goes on when we talk about healing our people. We would like to project and talk about, well, other people are doing wicked and evil too. Okay. It's justified. Okay, to continue the molestation, let's cover our eyes through the pedophilia now.
Right. The white man do it.
And yeah, the white man. So it's like, how do we fix that issue if the answer to it is, I'm not the only one doing it? The behavior is often overlooked. And why? Let me tell you. This is what Paul said. Let me read this real quick. Paul says, 1 Corinthians 7 and 37 and 28 says, let me read the 27th verse. Art thou bound unto a wife? 1 Corinthians 7 and 27. Seek not to be loosed. Art thou loosed from a wife? That means, are you single and don't have a wife? Seek not a wife. Why? That time you're separated from the flesh or from pursuing someone is your time to get right with the Almighty. He's giving you that space. It's like a fleshly fast so that you can connect your spirit with the heavenly divine spirit. That spirit is for him. It's for the Almighty. Whether you be a man or a woman, if you're loose, you're not supposed to be seeking to find someone else. The Most High is not through with you yet. He's not finished fixing you. So you want to bring other people into your dysfunction. And that's why Paul was saying this. You know you're dealing with issues and you're trying to now bring someone else into your dysfunction, believing that this other person is going to come in and fix or help me with this. No, the Most High need to help you with that first.
That's right.
And I'm saying that is because on the man and woman side, a woman can be single and she feels that a man is going to cover some of what happened to her growing up that she's probably have, compartmentalized and placed somewhere thinking it's shame. Something that happened to her in youth. But no, that dysfunction will show itself and rear its ugly head in other areas and eventually hurt the relationship because she ain't finished fixing that with the Most High yet.
Exactly.
And that's why we go from relationship to relationship, because we have men getting women believing that a woman can fix our dysfunction, a curse that God put on us. And we think that we can get a woman thinks she can get a man who's going to actually help her with her dysfunction. When the Most High haven't healed her from that yet. So the Bible says, but this I say, brethren, the time is short, and it remaineth. Now check this out. Before that, I'm at the 28th verse. 1 Corinthians 7 and 28 reads, and if thou marry, thou hast not sinned. You can sin. I mean, you can marry. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. It says, but if thou marry, thou hast not sinned. And if a virgin marry, she have not sinned. That's speaking of a young woman. Check this out, though. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh, but I spare you. If you make this choice in the union, because it's all good at first, keep in mind, it isn't going to stay that way. Because when you meet somebody, you usually introduce to each other your better self. And that's what you produce when you first see someone, your better self. But when you get to know each other, you let your hair down a little bit. And now they're trying to figure out who you are, where you grew up with, what's your affiliations, the things we should have known first. Now you realize, both of you or either of you, we're in trouble. This is not what I meant. See, but if you link up with the Most High first, you can use the Spirit to filter those who come in your presence with the word of the Almighty. You're not giving over your flesh. You're observing through the Spirit and filtering that person through the Spirit. Listen to this. But this I say, brethren, the time is short. This is for men. The time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none. Understand, if you make these choices to be in a relationship, the Most High is still going to require of you to multiply that seed He's sown in you. So everything everything that was placed upon you by the Almighty to accomplish on this side, you better bring it. Tie, stock, and barrel. Every piece of it. You can't say, oh yeah, now that I got a woman, I'm tied down now. I'm working 2 jobs now. I can't do this now. And I can't go teach the people anymore. I can't apply myself to study anymore. No, the Lord, no. I didn't give you a helpmeet to decrease. If you got a helpmeet, that means you should be able to do more and bring more people for the kingdom of heaven. Not, marry a ball and chain that becomes a burden. But that's what happens. I see people meeting people, hooking up with people and all that, desiring to be with a person, and you know they don't agree with anything you're talking about. You know they don't fear the Most High. They don't honor and respect scriptures. You even know that. So that's what Paul was talking about. You can make a choice on your flesh if you want. But understand what the Most High requires of you will still be required. So aim your eyes aright. Aim your eyes aright. Because help a woman in your life who knows the Most High is supposed to be a pillar of rest. You should be able to do greater works with a good woman. That's a helpmeet. Where she's actually feeling spiritually without when you're not producing for the Most High. These are the things that attract her to you. It's the fact that you love the Most High even more than her. That's that attraction. Let's talk about it. 515-605-9327. Go ahead, Elder Lawya.
Reading on in verse number 32, it says, "But I would have you without carefulness. He that is unmarried careth for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord."
So the unmarried, what?
Careth for the Lord, how he must, it says here, without carefulness, he that is unmarried careth for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord.
How he may please the Lord.
But he that is married careth for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife. There is a difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman careth for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy both in body and in spirit. But she that is married careth for the things of the world, how she may please her husband.
And I'm going to show you how backwards some of this is, brother. And don't laugh. I know y'all going to crack up probably. And this is no joke. This, what I'm telling you is true information. And I know Gabar going to crack up right here. Folks, I grew up a young man in my early 20s, before there was all these different groups online and all that, under a group which was called first the Israeli School of UPK. Now I thank the Most High for it. That was the beginning of my journey in understanding I was Israel. Now my journey in Christ happened in the Christian church, well before I knew I was an Israelite. Okay? But I'm not going to downplay the importance of that time. Of me being because it jogged something in me. It stimulated a fire to help my people see what the Most High was showing us. So I'm not going to denigrate that piece of it. The awakening part of me understanding I'm an Israelite according to the Bible. But, brothers, when I look back at it, sometimes I get up in the morning and I roll over and I laugh at certain moments, folks. Of what, think about this. I remember scenarios where you can be a brother with more than one wife, right? Teaching the law, super bad on the corners and dropping knowledge. Got the fringes on, you got one woman on this side, another woman over there in the crowd giving out flyers and all that. And you thought, I'm the man, not right? Folks, the brother would get picked up and taken home in his wife's car. Living in a Section 8 or a project that's under his wife's name. I look back at it and it cracks me up how we believe that we were actually with wives. When the Bible tells us in the Old Testament, if a man got another wife, her shelter, her raiment, and her finances shall not diminish, which means they had to make sure that everything was taken care of equally in both houses, and the women didn't have to do nothing but take care of the house and make sure the children were good. When it comes to the finances, the decisions, all of the authority, the man financially owned that in the Old Testament. I look back at it when I got aged and older, and none of these people who had wives back then are with those women they were with.
And it's deep you mentioned this because it brings to mind, I mean, we were living in the Middle East in cultures where they still practice some of these types of lifestyles.
Yeah.
But however, what it took to get one woman would make brothers, I mean, you would not survive for what it took to get one woman in these countries, let alone 3, 4, 5 women.
And let me break that down. In the Middle East, you're not allowed to go to the father and ask for someone's hand unless you first have a certain amount of money you're going to give the family. Mm-hmm. You have to have a purchased, owned flat or house for the wife you're going to put her in before the marriage. And she got to have money in her bank account. That's in the Middle East. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you know what? It's deep because these are the sons of Shem. These are the sons of Abraham who are still practicing our ancient traditions according to marriage. You can't even go to a man in the Middle East and ask for a woman unless you must have all those ducks in a row first. Mm-hmm. So they come over here to the United States by themselves, they get a job, they set up a small business, get a lot of money, and then 7, 8 years go back and choose the wife they want after getting the bag.
Exactly.
Now I'm saying that if we thought that way according to the Most High and how to deal with one wife, because you can't get one wife over there unless you first have all that. Mm-hmm. I need y'all to think about, in a nutshell, how much weight would be off of our women who have to carry the load for the majority of the relationship. If she didn't have to worry about food on the table or going to the quote-unquote white man for welfare. Mm-hmm. If her relationship with you means she was set from the beginning, there will be no need for family court. Mm-hmm. I'm glad you brought that example, Elder Lawya. Mm-hmm. So we could talking candidly here, because we got some younger brothers growing up thinking, and this is why, let me tell you, even though brothers know that the doctrine we're teaching in this church is correct, this is why they choose, believe it or not, I've seen brothers who choose another Israelite group, not because of doctrine, it's because it's okay to be with as many women as you want and not have to be accountable to them. 515-605-9327. From unrighteousness to righteousness. Many people are asking what's going on with these shirts. You have to go to iamapparel.org and you can get the shirts. You see my shirt straight out of Israel.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. And Elder Lawya, truth over tradition. And it's timely, Elder Lawya, that you have that shirt. It's like a Run DMC type of style.
Right.
Truth over tradition. It's deep you have that. It's poignant that you have that in the midst of this discussion. Because they claim tradition is okay to be with as many women as you want. But truth is over tradition. Can you handle everything you want? That's the question. You can desire anything. But can you handle it? Truth over tradition. Great shirt. You can actually order these online at iamapparel.org. We have a stack of them waiting for you. This one is an actual hoodie or whatever the case is. Straight out of Israel. Truth over tradition. That's the design the brother did for Elder Lawya tonight. Someone says, Denise, I really pray those polygamy fellas are listening and comprehend the truth. Listen, people are going to do what they want to do. And that's the bottom line.
Right.
But the reality is, believe it or not, you're not going to get too much work done with a bunch of women. So either you're going to serve your flesh and serve those women or serve the Almighty. Because I'm going to tell you, in this world enough, man, one woman is more than enough. Okay? Anyway. From unrighteousness to righteousness, the behaviors that are often overlooked and why. Let's go down the list. 216 area code, 812 area code, then 216. Let's see if we can identify the spirits that have always knocked us as a community backward. Identifying the subculture. That are the destructive subculture in our community that's often overlooked. Are there points we didn't touch on? Let's talk about it. 216 area code. Let me bring you in. Oh, that's okay. Let me hold on. 216 area code.
Shalom, what's going on? How you doing, both you elders?
Blessed by the
My
best.
comment, make it.
Go ahead.
My comment is about to what is the topic that you on, but I feel that you really didn't. You missed a little point. What I get the molestation comes from. I feel it comes from the immediate household, because you spoke on something earlier when you brought the topic up as in that how the so-called slave masters was watching us through since they brought us over here. But you got to understand how I look at it, what they was watching, and he maybe didn't put it like, you're not going to have, like, for example, I only can use myself. You know, I'm raising my daughter by myself. Don't ain't looking for no cookie or nothing. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as a father. But what I'm saying is that I come from a household, and my mother and father, and I come from a broken home household that I know my mother, know my dad, but I didn't grow up on no molestation. But what I feel it comes from the immediate household, just like how you brought up R. Kelly. R. Kelly, the reason why he passed on through it, because somewhere either his mother got molested or his father did the molesting. So when these people see it, they see it in an immediate household, and it carries on. because that's just like and when I say immediate, that's the uncle, sister, dad, mother, immediate household. Because if they see it from a friend, associate, they'll go back home and say, Mom, Dad, you know what I seen that was going on at my peer's house? Then a parent can say, well, you can't go back over there. That's wrong if they're not dealing with that. But overall, it comes from the immediate household. So the immediate parent, they condoning the situation because it was already passed on. It was passed on, just like the other elder said. Well, they can go and say, well, you pray on the situation. Yeah, they go back and say, pray on the situation because the mother was getting molested when she was a young girl, and that's what her mother told them to do. They passed it on. So that's why I keep going on and on. And then the other topic, what you were saying, I feel it reflecting us so bad because we back then, when it was David had multiple wives and all like that, they was closer to the heavens, and I feel the Heavenly Father seen that them things, what they was doing was wrong, and they had to basically how I can use this, they had to basically rewrite it. They couldn't do that no more.
Okay, let's wrap it up because
they knew that situation was wrong. But as we go along and we in this generation of people, look how we so far from God.
Okay,
and
brother.
We don't know who the Most High is. This is why sin is not affecting us so quickly as it was affecting them back then.
Hey, brother.
With God,
okay.
And that's why the sin affected them quickly more than anything. And the reason why I'm saying it like that.
Okay, brother, I had to shut you down because we're trying to have an interaction here. You can't go into a full board 2-hour dissertation on what you believe based on the whole broadcast. All right? So I'm trying to have a back and forth with you. I'm going to bring you back in to have a back and forth. Okay, you with me?
Yes.
Okay. Great points. Answer these questions directly, having in mind that we have other people behind you, okay? Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay. You say, and that's a blessing you raising your daughter. Where's your daughter's mother?
She's in California.
Well, what is she doing in California with your daughter with you?
She's in look, I don't want to get into all that right there because she's getting herself together as a mother, what she should be doing. Just like, you know what I noticed in the world.
No, brother, I don't want to tell me what you noticed. I want you, yeah. Where that thing at? Brother, I want you to focus on what I'm asking you because we're trying to heal the ills of our nation. You see how you said,
right,
well, I don't really want to talk about that. There's behaviors that's often overlooked that we hide and don't even realize we do more hurt hiding these issues than highlighting and bringing them out so that other people can learn from our mistakes. We have this thing about us that we hide what's wrong for whatever reason, and it cannot be identified than anything other than a curse. Other nations can sit there and articulate and point out what's going on with them as a point of healing to get over it. Our people would rather just stay in that spirit of the curse and protect it. Because when you called in, right, you highlighted the results of the curse. You exemplify, as an example, what happens. The family separates, one or the other parent have the child, the mother or father is someplace else, but no one can quantify how this happens or even want to discuss it. right? But you have the right to your privacy if you would like. You understand? But what I'm asking you is, because that's the generational curse. It's a young girl.
I can't get straight to that because I'll be talking forever.
Okay. All right, no, listen to what I'm saying, brother. The generational curse is this. We have boys being raised with women where the boy don't know how to understand how to be a man because there's no examples in the house of what a man is. Well, guess what? That applies to a little girl. A little girl intently watches her mother, her mannerisms, how she deal with issues, all of that. And there's certain things when your daughter come of age that you just cannot talk to her and relate to her in certain areas. So, I'm just using that as an example. But thank you, brother, for your let me ask you this before you go. Right? Just give me one answer, one word. Why is these curses like molestation and all these things that lead to dysfunction overlooked in our community? Why do we ignore these issues that are plaguing us?
I just said it. It's an immediate family.
Okay, thank you, brother. Immediate family.
That's why
I'm
it's
with you.
overlooked.
I got you. What he was saying is, I think I understand what he's saying by immediate family, and it's a shame, but because it's probably true. Maybe in the family, others have dealt with it, like the mother, who've been violated or seen other people violated to a degree in which it's come to be accepted as normal.
Yeah.
And that's a normal relationship now. Everyone gets molested.
Right.
And so what are we going to do about that? All right. Great point, brother. I'm sorry I had to cut you off, but you brought some great points to the table, and I'll let you roll because a lot of what you said highlights the curses that are upon us. 812 area code. Shalom.
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom.
I just wanted to hit on the point of the molestation. I do agree that some of that comes from definitely like immediate families. Personally, I came was the baby in the family. I was able to watch 3, actually maybe more, but I know for a fact, 3 generations of women, from my mother to my sister to my niece, and things that my mother growing up, and they all handle things differently. My mother, her mother, she was molested by the pastor. My mother had to grow up still in that church, was still made to go. Her mother was one of those situations that she did not believe her, to where basically she had to continue to be around the man that molested her, and she wasn't the only girl in that church that happened with. Then with the emotional, how I seen how my mother dealt with things, it was kind of flippy floppy, because on one hand that's where you get the raising of all men are dogs, and then plus their life issues, like them going through, having maybe multiple partners, but them trying to please and try to be, or going through beatings by, just those kind of things. But I always seen her, she would say, all men are dogs is basically like you just live with it. Just know that they're all going to cheat, they're all going to be dogs, right? And so but you love them and keep it moving. And she does highlight, which is a good thing, if the man, even over her own, daughters, if there was some wrong, she's always trying to, make it, smooth it out, oh, well, he probably didn't, and things like that. But that's to a degree, that doesn't necessarily come because of the molestation. Now, her daughter, which is my sister, she got molested by my mother's cousin while my mother was at work as a little girl. My sister did tell my mother. My mother did believe her. Nothing that I ever known had ever happened to that man. I don't know what my mother did. I mean, like, I don't think no police officer, I don't think anything was happening. And my sister grew up very angry. I watched my sister. I understand why at first. It was just her until I got a little older, and it was on a quiet note of explaining to me of what made it clear, like, wow, okay, I understand now. And I'm talking about from, anger issues with my mother, super anger issues, like, to where it's so angry to where she even cut my mother's face, but she blamed my mother, okay? Also, with her dealing with men, she would fight with, like if you arguments or whatever, fighting with men. But if a man was to beat her, if a man was beating on her, she would calm down. You get what I'm saying? Like a man that was actually probably decent to her, she was more aggressive with that one. But the ones that would beat on her was the ones that actually she calmed down a little bit more with, until she more so changed when she actually got shot in the face. She calmed down. Now I see her like how at a point in time when I did see her growing up, there was a small window of that beauty of calmness and gracefulness, but it was a very small window. Now my niece, which is her daughter, I didn't find out until my niece was 19 years old. Otherwise, I would have did something about that myself. 19 years old, my niece is out here, on all kinds of different drugs, especially the stuff that's going on around, it's like meth capital and everything else. But then as I'm speaking to her, she's at my house and trying to, keep her around me a little bit and things. I find out it's not a male. It was her cousin on her father's side, which him and her mother and my sister, her father and my sister were together for 14 plus years. They split up. My niece seeked for his love, which he was on drugs, so then it was just a full circle. But his cousin, which is her cousin, actually molested my niece. And I noticed that, and I know them very well, and that I know that family, because it's the immediate family. All the uncles, it seems like all the cousins, everybody messing with everybody in the family. And it's like it's almost normal.
Hold up. Let's reel it back. I started off with a blank sheet of paper. Hold on. Let me put the top on this. I'm trying to figure out from what angle. Do I start from the top or the bottom of this thing? Okay, I was almost out of it after the shot in the face. Okay. Let's. Okay. What city and state is this? Where did you grow up at, sister?
I grew up in Terre Haute, Indiana, which is actually a pretty quiet place. Okay. But it had its rowdy times, but it's actually a pretty quiet place.
Okay, let's go back in. All right, let's start with your mother. Okay.
Yes, sir.
You said your sister. Something happened with your mother, right? With a pastor or whatever the case is, whatever the case is, because these are reoccurring scenarios we're hearing, right? And guess what? It's to the point where we're desensitized. Like we expect to hear in a story at any time that a pastor have molested or dealt with somebody he have no business. That's almost a normal thing now amongst our community. That's hid. That's overlooked. You point out so many in this one thing. But the question is first, your mother. Where was your father? See, I'm going straight. Hold up now, because everyone is looking at this. I'm going straight to the first issue. Mm-hmm. Because all of this could have been avoided.
With the past.
All of this could have been avoided, and still including, hopefully, if everything, was intact, the pastor situation. But let's go back to the mother. Where?
Yes, sir.
Where is the father in this?
He had passed away.
Okay, so here's another example what happens when women are usually left alone without any protection. Now check this out, sister. In the law, right? If the husband was to pass, now, do you have any brothers?
I do. And all of, from my sister.
No,
my brother.
Listen to what I'm asking you. Do you have any brothers from your father that passed? I'm sorry to hear that. But do you have any brothers that
From
from the original family before others came in?
Is this from me personally or my mother?
I'm saying I hate to ask you certain questions. It can go all over the place. Let me just stick here then. Let me just go here. All right. So I take it that your sisters and your family have different fathers.
Yes.
Okay. So your father is different than your sister's father.
Correct.
Okay. Is there any other children that came in from another father that's separate?
Yes.
Okay.
There's actually 7 of us, and there's 6 fathers.
Okay, 7 children, 6 fathers.
Correct.
And as a product of this is what all of this produces. Mother cousins,
Correct.
The mother cousin can come in and harm the daughter. Why? Because he sees there's no protection. A vulnerable, dysfunctional state is really the haven for sin. It's the haven for molestation. And we see this all in our neighborhoods and do nothing. Your sister told your mother nothing happened. She gets angry. And now that anger filters into her relationships now, where this sister has now become the stereotypical woman that's usually I would say mocked by the likes of those like Tommy Sotomayor and others. They become the become the poster child of sisters. But no one is looking at all this dysfunction that led to the dysfunction. And on top of that, relating it to a curse that God said would happen if we didn't come back to his law. Now, sister, this is so much to handle. But it highlights what we deal with every day in our communities, yet cover up. Anything you like to say before I go to the next call? Because, I mean, this can be an entire broadcast, but go ahead.
I do want to say that, even with my niece, even though it wasn't necessarily with a man, it was with even a female. It puts them, now she has dealt with, like I said, she started going to the drugs, being very high, promiscuous, which my sister, the angry one, she actually wasn't high, like sleeping everywhere, but she stayed, pretty with one, and pretty much he got I'm talking about the blunt force end of, he was a good man to her, and he got the blunt force end of a lot of her anger, and I'm talking about with the fighting and getting stabbed even. I mean, I walked in on that myself and had, but my sister, she wasn't like how, my niece, on the other hand, is the one that's out, got her everything possible showing, wanted to show everything on a YouTube and videos. But now my sister, she was one that covered. She was very super overly, not overly, I don't think you can be super overly modest, but very, very high modest.
Okay. All right. And all praise be to the Most High. You turned out good. I mean, you're fine, right?
Yeah, I have never been molested. I have my issues, but not, to that extent.
I understand when you say you have your issues. What are they?
And whenever another topic that you had said about something that was actually, how do I want to say it? Because I can't think of it right now. But basically, being in a relationship that was a righteous relationship, and versus being with somebody and having children there, and then outside of that righteous relationship, I actually am that person. I have, I see it firsthand, even with the children, and the two oldest ones, they're very respectful. Seriously, I have gotten compliments throughout their years still to this day.
Okay.
And and then I have.
Well, I just wanted to know what was your issues?
Ahead.
What was your issues in particular? That was it. What is the issue?
That's living life.
Oh, all right. We all have our issues.
With the Most High.
It's called Deuteronomy 28 and 68. All right. I'm going to place you on hold. Thank you, sister.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shalom.
Shalom. And I thank the Most High that these conversations are being had. And this is why we have to stop focusing so much on the other nations and what's going on with what the white man is doing. The white man, a door was opened through sin that would allow the white man to totally annihilate us. The same way the sin has opened the door for our own people to annihilate us. There's a reoccurring scenario that keeps popping up. A repetitive spirit that keeps popping up. Sin opens the door to dysfunction. And it can only be healed through Christ. If we begin to focus on the root issue. Now, I want to read this real quick, if you may, before I open the next line. This is in the Testament of Levi. And I'm going to read this. The 7th chapter reads, the sin of fornication, divorce forbidden. This is why Christ said, in the beginning it wasn't so. That a woman shall leave her family and a man shall leave his family. They shall become one twain. And in the beginning, divorce wasn't so. Why did Christ say this? Well, when you look at the 12 patriarchs, it's written. It says here, the builders of the wall who walk after the law. The law it is which talks of which he said, assuredly they shall talk or court by two, by fornication and taking two wives during their lifetime. But this fundamental principle of the creation, male and female created he them. And they who went into the ark, 2 and 2 went into the ark. So the example of what the Most High meant from the beginning was the life that began life after the flood. They went on the ark 2 by 2 as an example for a restart with Noah and his 3 sons. That means Noah, Shem, Japheth went on the ark with their wives. Only 2 of each went on the ark, the same as the animals. It says, and as to the prince it is written. Now we know Israel is the prince of God. And to the prince it is written, he shall not multiply wives unto himself. But David read not in the book of the law that was sealed, which was in the ark. For it was not open in Israel from the day of the death of Eleazar and Joshua. See, and this is why David dealt with the multiple wives, because he didn't read the records that was sealed in the ark initially. And it says, and the elders who served Ashtoreth, it was hidden and was not. discovered until Zadok. The sons of Zadok are the key sons of Aaron. Now they glorify the deeds of David, except only the blood of Uriah, and the Most High abandoned them to him. And this is why it is written of in Deuteronomy 17. And read this in Deuteronomy 17 and 17. It says, neither shall he multiply wives unto himself, speaking of a prince, that his heart turn not away, neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. Why am I reading this? I'm looking at these instances of dysfunction. When a husband dies and a woman is a widow, she belongs to the Most High. And usually under the law, she is to marry the next of kin under that family, the brother or someone in that family who will protect that family, protect her going forward to a degree in which she's not taken advantage of by the preacher. See, the women were protected even in widowhood, according to God's law. So there's no protection mechanism in our society for the women, and we're blaming the women for the dysfunction. We have the conscious community wigged out of their minds. You're talking about some serious nut jobs with no law whatsoever. They're not unified under one order anywhere. But they all are united in claiming that the black woman is God. Not that the black woman isn't great, she is. But they're magnifying a negative. They're magnifying and overlooking the dysfunction that comes with us not instilling the law and protecting them. So that's what's being glossed over with this patronizing spirit they have in the conscious community, where their full objective is really to point to the white man and unite people against the white man, while they continue to go through these just run through all these dysfunctional black women with no protection. What's missing? The law.
Absolutely.
Anything of the lawyer?
Yes, sir. I have a comment and a scripture. It's deep what you were bringing out as far as the protection that was afforded in ancient times. And I'm going to read a scripture on that and then also apply to today, like when these conversations come up of submission and, of course, the multiple wives thing and how women should be in this time period. What we have to take into account is that women in ancient times, they could submit to a guy who could promise that protection, who could promise having certain things in place and a culture in place, which ensured that there was some level of protection for them. Exactly. Which in this time is, you can't really guarantee. You got to rely on their Esau's system in order to make sure that you and your family are protected. So it says here, it says in Ecclesiastes 4:10, be as a father unto the fatherless, instead of a husband unto their mother, so that thou shalt be a son of the Most High, and he shall love thee more than thy mother doeth. So we had a responsibility as men, even to widows who had children, not to try to look to the woman as a possible option as another wife or as a wife in general, but to first ensure that their children were taken care of.
And protected.
Exactly.
So, but in this society, we look at that vulnerable woman as an opportunity. As an opportunity. So someone comes in and destroys her daughters, destroy her family. The devil gets in now because there's no law to protect the women. But it's easy to look at the end result of our communities and blame them for everything. They was like, okay, why don't y'all put in a mechanism to protect this thing? What do you expect? You talking about me going to the white man and doing all this? Well, I know if I call 911, the white man is going to protect me.
Right.
I know if I go down there to the white man for welfare, I'll have food on the table.
Right.
Where's your protection mechanism? Israel, man of God, man who know the law. know all the precepts, but yet our whole community is in disarray. With all this knowledge, you haven't set up a protection mechanism. And I'm going to tell you this, even within our church, we had a scenario where if you're going to be over children and all that, and be in a situation where you're looking over other people's children, we're going to make sure there's no background that could lead to something in the flesh. If you dealt with something in the flesh that leaded to some of those negatives to be around children, we ain't going to allow that to creep up and be what you would call a temptation to a person who dealt with stuff like that in the past. So we say, no, we got to do something in the background. If you're going to be around children, we're going to have to know the criminal history and all that to know if you've harmed children. We put all that in place. And because I don't care what's going on out in the world, we're going to protect people in this church.
Right.
If you're going to be over children, we're going to know that you haven't hurt children on the outside of these doors. Do you know that we receive pushback? We receive pushback because we wanted to put something in place to make sure our children that come through these doors are protected. What are you talking about? People was upset that we wanted to understand who was looking after our children. Why do y'all need to know that? What? You want to be over a child program. And then we come to find out that there was some stuff out there of people that was trying to get next to children who had stuff out there. Like, no way, Jose. So listen, we're not just talking about it. If you're going to be over children, you have to understand that's our generation. This next generation will break us free. So we can control what happens in this church.
Right.
Because one thing about molesters and all that, they are experts. Let me tell you, they are ninjas. They know how to get next to children right up under the nose of their parents.
Right. And what do you think they'll tell the children? Your mother and father know I'm doing this. Look, they brought you here to me. They know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
The mind games they play.
Yeah.
It's deep because these are things that the reason why we get pushed or there's pushback sometimes because we're not used to considering these things when it comes to children, family, and things of that nature.
Yeah. Because you have to realize a lot of what we do as a church is to heal brothers and sisters, our whole family, from the dysfunctions coming up in these communities that didn't protect them. Hell, are we going to let our children in the church suffer that?
Exactly.
So there's a lot of things we did. We put stuff on hold. It was like, well, listen, no more programs, no more other programs or nothing until we make sure our insurance and everything is in place before we just allowed you to have all these programs over children. If something happened to these children, then that's gonna hurt. They're gonna stop the work. We're thinking forward because we want our children to understand normalcy within this body, to understand what it is to be raised under a normal household, a God-fearing household, a father and mother together that would put their life before their children, that will put their children's interests first before their own. And to know that when those parents are not around and those children are amongst the elders and deacons and amongst the church, that those children are protected at all times, even in the parents' absence. We can't change the world out there, but we're going to instill the environment of the righteous within this church. Right. And we get pushback. We used to get pushback even in other areas. Like, we're going to need to know who's over certain situations when it comes to children. Because the greatest liability, folks, in this earth when it comes to churches, believe it or not, the hardest insurance to get is insurance on molestation and all that, folks. Because churches are known for molesting children. There's a great chance they'll be molested in a church institution before any other place. Check that out. And guess what? And that's why I said the behaviors we often overlook and don't say nothing about. How is it in the most trusted environment that we believe is on earth, church, is the highest numbers of molestation? So we're talking about it because that's what you have to do. You have to highlight the evil so that everyone can know, so everyone can understand where the threat lies. Because Satan deals under the veil and cloud of darkness, confusion, silence. Let's go down the line. Go down the line. Next, I already hit 216, right? Mm-hmm. All right. Mm-hmm. All right. Next, 803 area code. From unrighteousness.
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom. You're live with the Gathering of Christ Church. The behaviors that are often
All praise
overlooked.
to the,
Talk to us.
praises to the Most High. What you just brought out, Elder, was so succinct. Like, I think about the children. I'm here in South Carolina. I think about the children and everything like that. Them sitting there, listening, learning, gaining experience and things like that. You wonder, right? And I'm not just talking about here in South Carolina. I'm just talking about in general, all our children around the world, the four corners of the earth. Are they going through anything? You understand what I'm saying? Like that plagues your mind because you want to make sure that they are safe. They have a safe environment and everything where, you know, they have a loving, nurturing environment and things like that. So, you know, we have people that come in daily. They watch the videos and everything, and they're trying to change their lives around. And you don't know what their history is. You don't know what they've been through in their past, in their previous lives that they're trying to shake and everything like that. So it's kind of a scary situation, not just for the black community as a whole or the so-called Hispanic community as a whole, but once they come in to our realm, our domain, a place where we've made it safe for our people to dwell and worship the Most High in spirit and in truth. So it's just a scary situation to know that we have to battle this, and not just within the church, but the communities that we serve as well, going forward. How do we approach helping these certain things? I heard the brother talking about, you know, he didn't want to talk about it. Well, we can't heal anything if we don't talk about it. We the one true people that keep things hidden. We keep it pushed down because we're embarrassed, or you know, our manhood or our womanhood would be tested. But that's our problem now, is because how can I defend you or help you if I don't know what the problem is? That's the scary thing.
Let me ask you this, brother. I'm going to just use an example and highlight an example that all of us, you know, that was really, you know, mainstream international news, if not national news. Remember when that thing where all those young boys that was once kids in Eddie Long's church came out, all of these boys end up being gay? And they came out and said that Eddie Long, and showed pictures and all that with Eddie Long to out him. My question to you is, and I'm going to just answer this for me. Why was there so much support, not only from the women, men, and children within that congregation? Why was there so much public support for him? More so than sympathy for those children who was harmed, now walking like transgender and all that right now. And on top of that, why was he wrapped with a Torah by a Messianic Jew? Why was he sheltered and protected with all that out there by them as well as our community? What's your thoughts on that? But because what I'm
God
saying is
they
what I'm
serve
saying is
and the God that
hold up before you go there, before I lose my thought. That's why sometimes I jump in before I lose my thought. I'm saying this because it's one thing to be silent since you disagree with it. That's bad enough. But to have a public support system behind it is something entirely different. It's bad enough being silent. But if you do have a voice, that voice sides with the molester. Go on.
the God they serve is not the God that we serve, because the God that we serve would never, ever condone that. But the fear that they have for retaliation or a position, quote unquote, a position within the church, and money plays a big part in it as well.
Okay.
They're willing to sacrifice their own children. If in the past they were sacrificing a Moloch, they doing it now. They may not walk through the fire that we see as fire, but these poor children are walking through fire now. That's their fire.
Thank you, brother. I'm going to place you on hold. Great point.
And they're being sacrificed.
Thank you, brother. You always make great points. I'm going to place you on hold. And I'm going to show you, Elder Lawya, the brazen mockery and wickedness. Mm-hmm. They rap Eddie Long with the Torah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And in the Torah, it says, if you lie with mankind as you lie with a woman, you shall surely be put to death.
Right.
And your blood shall be upon you.
Right.
So he wrapped him in the law that condemns him. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. To shelter him. Mm-hmm. Next call, 515-605-9327. Publicly. Mm-hmm. That's just brazen.
Right.
Like, listen, we're going to, we have proof this guy have broken the law. We're going to wrap him in the law and insulate him and hold him up as a king amongst his own people. And they propped him up on a throne amongst our people while the whole congregation got up and cheered. The total destruction of the young, they was cheering the destruction that came with this man taking the spirit from those young men. Mm-hmm. Taking the masculinity, the power from Judah. Next call. 501, is that next? Mm-hmm. Yeah, now let's go down the line. 519, 219. We didn't have this one, right?
I don't think so.
219 area code. Agreed.
Shalom, elders.
Shalom, talk to me.
Shalom.
Yeah, I was just wondering, in relation to this topic, can you guys make a video about getting over your fear of confronting people?
What did he say?
I don't know.
You said one more time, brother. You said do a video on one in particular?
Yeah, in particular, it can cover a broad range of topics.
We didn't hear you.
But it's just talking about getting over your fear of confronting people.
You know what? That's deep in itself, because that ties into this open-end conversation. Some people believe telling and highlighting a destructive behavior. Some people take that as some level of confrontation. I hear this all the time. I let it go because I don't like confrontation. What? Speaking truth to a destructive behavior, a demon, is confrontation? That means you have now been you're the one being emotionally assaulted. That demon that's attacking you isn't taking that stance. Well, I'm not going to say anything because I just don't like confrontation. And you know how it is. She's just going to just go off, and you know how she is or he is. You let the most demon-possessed person, the most demon-possessed demon take all the power and breathe all the air out of the room. You let that person gain all power by claiming, I don't like confrontation. No, when are we going to face our fears? It doesn't mean it comes to blows. It don't mean it's going to come to blows. But if you're doing something wrong, especially sisters have this more so than men. There's a lot of men out there who has it. But women have this more so. They'll see something going on wrong, know it's wrong, and say, well, I'm not going to say anything. I don't like confrontation. We have to confront the evil and rid ourselves of it. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just thinking that a person, anybody should push themselves to do it also. You know, I had to do it myself when I had to confront somebody, not necessarily as far as child molestation, but I had to let myself know that it was okay to do this. And by me pushing myself to do it, that's what caused me to go ahead and go through with it instead of changing my mind.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. Great points. We're going to go to the next call. And that's another thing, getting over our fears of not confronting people, but correcting people. We have to learn how to do this. Okay? There's examples all the time in showing us how to correct people. The Bible says, when it comes to that, it tells us, let's get that real quick. Approach such a one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted.
Yes, sir.
Read
Galatians chapter 6, verse 1.
Read it.
Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault,
they're the wrong ones.
Ye which are spiritual, restore such an one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted.
And you know what? I'm going to tell you, the corporate world have perfected this particular scripture. We're corrected continuously at the job. And none of us deem that as any level of confrontation. Because what? They come to you in a meek spirit, in a loving and caring type of spirit. There's a professional way of approaching someone to accept constructive criticism. And it seems like we see these examples in our everyday life, but don't apply them. And it must be this dark cloud in the hood. But as soon as we leave the corporate world, in which we are bosses in the corporate world too, and understand under HR how to approach a person and correct a person and steer them in the right direction and all that. But when we go amongst our own people, all that teaching goes out the window. It must be a dark demon or something in our communities where common sense on how to interact with each other cordially leaves once we leave the job. Once we come back into the hood, we don't even know how to correct anyone, and we just wrote someone up at the job. And they totally was sitting there getting written up saying, well, yeah, it was my fault. You just corrected that person and all that with their livelihood threatened in a way in which they could accept it. But get amongst the hood and we can't apply that same knowledge to correct each other. It's weird. It's a curse, folks. Go ahead.
If I could mention, the thing is in your workforce, when you're tasked with that responsibility, there is a structure in place and a system in place to ensure that your correction has authority and force.
Exactly.
In our communities, it's a you can't tell me nothing kind of spirit, kind of attitude, to where you could bring that correction, and it's like, who the hell are you to try to tell me anything? And, start digging into you and going into what's wrong with you, so.
Exactly. I can understand that. But what you're highlighting is that there's a structure in place for correction.
Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what's missing. And what we're saying is that structure is actually in the Bible.
That's right.
It's in the Bible. Next call. 914 area code. 914. No, there's someone before that. That's 340, right?
Yep.
340 area code. I'm sorry. Shalom.
Hello?
Shalom.
Shalom.
Hi, elders. Hi.
How are you,
Shalom,
my
elders.
sister?
How are you?
I'm blessed by the Most High. How are
Oh,
you?
doing good. By the grace of the Most High, doing great.
Let's go.
On this topic, so many things were in my mind while I was listening to everybody talking about this topic. And the brother was just talking about just now confrontation and how the fear of confrontation just now. And then another thing I was thinking is maybe just not wanting to air that dirty laundry.
Okay.
We tend to do that and keep the status quo. Because like you said in one of the previous videos, this is the same people in Masada, the same people waiting there till the rules are to the side to pounce, at those who are vulnerable. I mean, the same people who would kiss you on the cheek and then sell you for 30 pieces of silver, to the Romans. The same people. That's who we're dealing with here.
So here's the question, sister. Here's the question, though. In the behaviors that are often overlooked, why do we overlook the dysfunctions in our neighborhood? Why?
I think it's like I guess you were mentioning earlier. We men love wickedness rather than good, and we want to blame the nations for everything to absolve ourselves from responsibility of seeking and finding the problem and fixing things. So the question as to whether or not we even want to fix things, or if we trust in oppression thereon. And then there's also this whole thing of we're just like in this pure confusion state where we want the waters muddy. We don't want hot. We don't want cold because that's identifiable. So we can identify when it's hot or cold. We want everything gray so that we can stew up in this good and evil sauce, or in the same boat, lumping everything good and evil together and staying in it. So then it's like the solution thing is the children, like you were saying, Elder, the next generation and their ways. Like for me, what I found is like school rubbing off a little on my children. And right there, I decided, no, we're going to go into the scriptures every night as an after school thing.
Good.
You're going to pick a chapter, like you said, that you're going to go ahead and say why you picked it, what you learned from it, and how you could apply it in two ways in your life. And I've been doing that every single night with the girls. And what I found is that in doing so, they have the scriptures. They pick their own chapter, and they have it in their mind, and it's to the forefront of their minds. And even though they're so young, they can like be a light unto the world. Even this week, I was very... I was so upset because there was this book on sexual abuse on the shelf at the library at my kids' school, and my daughter didn't even know what the word sex meant. She never heard the word sex before. And then it was on there, and she started to browse through it and look into it. My daughter told the librarian, could you please take this book off the shelf? Because it was in the kindergarten, first grade area. And the thing was so explicit. It was talking about sexual abuse with a child from her perspective with her father. And it was, my daughter never even knew this word, let alone this kind of thing. And the book kind of like was starting to terrorize my daughter. She was trying to get it out of her mind. So she told the librarian, could you take it off the shelf? The librarian said, it's there for a reason. My daughter said to her, well, yeah, but not a very good reason. And then I backed it up with a note and asked and showed her what looks like the agenda of the author and all of that. And then the librarian decided, you know what? I'm going to just take it off for reevaluation. So just even a child, having that word in the head and having that defense can, when these dots come at them, they have something in their mind all the time, and it could be a light onto the world. So I think it starts with the kids.
Thank you, sister.
To remedy this generation.
Thank you, sister.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, bye. Bye, Albert.
Bye-bye. She always come with the sunshine. Let me read this real quick. All praises be to the Most High, because last week, Elder Lawya, we went into that nature, that what you would call that malignant root that was taken with Adam and Eve's choice of the tree of good and evil, which became the curse that leads to all dysfunction within our communities till this day. That actually, it was that curse of the sin of choosing wrong that led to captivity, slavery. Right. And some people wanted to know what in particular, how can we highlight or find out what that nature is in particular? In the book of Reuben of the 12 patriarchs, it's broken down by our fathers, the fathers of the children of Israel, what that nature is. It says here that nature. Now keep in mind, and what jogged me to go here is because she says they're introducing the word sex to kindergarten children, which should be illegal altogether. Mm-hmm. But when you look at that word sex in the Latin, it's 666. Sex is 666. So Elder Gabar and I was talking. He was like, I wonder how did Eve convince Adam to partake of the fruit? The mark of the man, 666. You could be convinced to do many things through that act. Now, initially, if they would partake of the tree of life, it would have been an act of righteousness in time after learning what they needed to learn to bring forth a nation to rule for an eternity. But that first act was done through the flesh. Listen to this. The beast. The human nature that leads to dysfunction. Listen to this. Besides all these, there is a matter of fact, let me get to all the senses. It says, I'm in the Testament of Reuben, the 2nd chapter. I know, and now hear me, my children, what things I saw concerning the 7 spirits of deceit. When I repented, 7 spirits therefore are appointed against man. There's 7 spirits that's appointed against man. Check out those spirits. I lost my place here. Yeah. And they are the leaders of the works of youth. 7 other spirits are given to him at his creation, that through them should be done every work of man. The first spirit of life, with which the constitution of man is created. The second is the sense of sight, which ariseth desire. The third is the sense of hearing, with which cometh teaching. The fourth is the sense of smell, with which taste are given, to draw air and breathe. The fifth is the power of speech, that which cometh knowledge. The sixth is the sense of taste, with which cometh the eating of meats, drinks, and by strength is produced. For in food is the foundation of strength, and the 7th is the power of procreation and sexual intercourse, with which through love of pleasure sins enter in. Wherefore it is the last in order of creation, and the first is that of youth, because it is filled with ignorance, and leadeth the youth as a blind man to a pit, and a beast to its precipice. Besides all these, an 8th, spirit of sleep, with which is brought about the trance of nature in the image of death. With these spirits are mingled the spirits of error, making mistakes over and over again. First, the spirit of fornication is seated in the nature and in the senses. The second, the spirit of insatiableness in the belly. The third, the spirit of fighting in the liver and gall. The fourth is the spirit of obsequiousness and chicanery. When you look at that obsequious and chicanery, that's characterized by showing a servile complacence. And chicanery is the use of trickery to achieve an objective. Using your body to receive an objective. Eve. This is what happened. It's breaking it down now. Well, I left off at Elder Lawyer. Yeah, there it is. Chicanery, and through officious attentions, one may be fair in seeming. The fifth is the spirit of pride, that one may be boastful and arrogant. The sixth is the spirit of lying, and perdition and jealousy to practice deceits, and concealments from kindred and friends. Hiding dysfunction. That's a spirit where you will conceal it from others for a time. The seventh is the spirit of injustice, with which are thefts, acts of rapacity, that a man may fulfill the desire of his heart. For injustice worketh together with the other spirits by the taking of gifts. That means through bribery, through money, through finances, how Lawya was mentioning earlier. Usually mothers and others won't say something about what's going on in their house because there's a benefit having a man in the house, even if he's a predator. And with all these, the spirit of sleep is joined, which is the error and fantasy. And so perisheth every young man, darkening his mind from the truth. The only way to overcome this dysfunction is the truth of the Bible, folks. Our forefathers explained this to us on their deathbed. And not understanding the law of God, nor obeying the admonitions, which are the corrections of his fathers, as befell me also in my youth. And now, my children, love the truth, and it will preserve you. Hear the words of Reuben your father. Pay no heed to the face of a woman. You can love a woman. You can admire the gift of what a woman is. But understand her power. Okay? Understand that. And that's what Gabar was bringing forth. Nor associate with another man's wife, nor meddle with the affairs of womankind. Men shouldn't be all caught up in women conversations. For had I not seen Bilhah bathing in a covered place, I had not fallen into this great iniquity. For my mind, taking the thought of the woman's nakedness, suffered me not to sleep. That means you seen pictures of her, or you seen her body in silhouette and couldn't sleep until I had wrought the abominable thing. The abominable thing. For while Jacob our father had gone to Isaac his father, when we were in Eder, near to Ephrath in Bethlehem, Bilhah became drunk and was sleeping uncovered in her chamber. Having therefore gone in and beheld nakedness, I wrought the impiety with her. Perceiving it and leaving her sleeping, I departed. Molestation. Sneaking in while people are sleeping. Taking advantage of someone in a vulnerable state. Many of our women have gone through this. And forthwith an angel of God revealed to my father concerning my impiety, and he came and mourned over me and touched her no more. And you know, by this sin of Reuben, he lost the position of the firstborn. He lost his birthright. Check out that nature. And see, and this is why they don't want you to read these records, folks, to identify our dysfunction. So that now we can no longer attach what's going on with us and blame it on the white man teaching us this. We have a nature in us that led to our fall under the white man. We have a nature that leads to this. that have been ignored. I'm reading from the Testament of Reuben and the 12 patriarchs, folks. Every church should be reading this because and guess what? These are good people, folks, who have good intentions like Reuben, who allow that nature to overtake him and use him. See? And we all have that nature in us and must identify that nature to do what? To keep that under control. And that's what Christ's ministry was all about. And by identifying it, now you're doing what? You're highlighting the dysfunction and putting a light on it. And we all know, Satan hates the light. See? This is why you can't read what we're reading right now to get to the bottom of our dysfunctions, because our dysfunction keeps the Gentiles in control over us. They'll never give us this wisdom on how to control ourselves, the power of self-control and discipline. And this is why, even though we know in the Old Testament people had multiple wives, that we don't teach that amongst us. Because you're feeding a nature in a man that can eventually destroy him. Because when is enough? If it's more than one, then it's two. Then if it's two, it's three. If it's three, it's four. And then that insatiable appetite comes in where they're feeding their flesh and not building their spirit. And then that same insatiable appetite can be like, yeah, matter of fact, that daughter right there, her daughter, now, who just came of age, who's looking nice walking around the house. See? That nature now is being fed. And then you'll go find a scripture that will justify you dealing with her daughter. That's how it works.
Exactly.
That's how it works, folks.
That's what we have to understand. It don't stop with this, just this one thing we think it's about.
Exactly.
You find an excuse. Oh, Abraham did it. That was your first excuse.
Yep.
And like you said, you find another scripture to excuse something else, like the scriptures say. A wicked man will not be reproved, but findeth an excuse according to his own way.
Exactly. If you teach people it's okay to serve their flesh, there's no end to it. And that's what Reuben was breaking down. Let's go. Let's see. 914 area code. We're almost done. We only got a couple of more minutes. 15 minutes before the conclusion. Shalom.
Hello, Elder.
Shalom, your phone. Something is wrong with your phone. Everything is okay there?
Hello, elders.
Okay, that's better. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, I had you online. Oh, okay. Shalom, elders.
Shalom.
Yes. So, yes, I wanted to talk about my story. So basically, I got molested at a very young age, and it was by my mother's boyfriend at the time.
How old? Sister, how old were you?
This was, I was probably maybe 5, I believe. My mom passed away when I was around 7.
I'm sorry to hear that.
So I believe I was probably 5 or 6, probably. I don't remember the age exactly. And even after she passed away, he still was trying to be persistent with it because we used to go to his mom's house. That's a routine we used to do as kids before my mom passed away. So we would still go to his mom's house to hang out and stuff like that. So he was even trying to do it at that time. I feel like that was the reason why I grew up so angry, and I always, want to fight. And also, I feel like that's also one of the reasons why, I kind of got pregnant at a young age, because I was looking for love or searching for love. And my dad was here at the time in America, and he was married. And I found that out when I was probably maybe around 13 or 14. So I would see my dad maybe once a year. It's something I never talked about because I don't know, I guess I was afraid or maybe ashamed. And after telling my mom about it, tried to explain to her what was occurring, and she never believed me.
Your
so
mother
her
never
not believing me kind of kept me in a little box, I guess, and I didn't want to talk about it with anyone.
See, I'll tell you
So
this,
that's
sister, and
something I
I'm
went
sorry.
through.
I'm sorry to hear this, but let me say something real quick. And I think the Most High understands to a certain degree that that me as a person, that I have to do work, and that it's tough having a daughter in this time where there's no protection out there. Even if your daughter is protected, the vultures are still there. And I'm going to tell you, the Most High knew, I think there was something in him that knew not to give me daughters. Because I would be teaching in jail. My ministry would be a cold-blooded jail ministry until the Lord opened the jails. That's where I would be. I'm going to tell you that right now. So the Most High must have known that. You got a grown man.
I agree with that.
A grown man. And not only that, you have to look at this. If they have done this once, this is a perpetual spirit, this molestation spirit that we've been covering for years. And people talk about, don't read that bad stuff in the Bible. You know why they don't want you to read that? Because there was judgment in the Old Testament. There was judgment. You touch someone's kid, you were thrown off a mountain, and rocks are where you used to stand. Okay? They even had little kids throwing rocks, hitting people in ankles and all that. Everyone had the whole town had a rock. But listen, I digress. Go on, sister. That fired me up, but go ahead.
Yes. So I feel like that's something that is definitely swept under the rug, especially with growing up in Jamaica. My next door neighbor went through that with her dad. Also, there's this guy in the neighborhood that had a son with his daughter as well. And it's something that's normal. It's not even looked at. Nobody even turned, it's basically a blind eye to that situation everywhere in Jamaica, believe me.
And I thank the Most High for the grace of Christ, I'm telling you. That's why he says he commands everyone everywhere to repent. The Most High must have known, because, I mean, a daughter. It's a young man can fend for his own at a certain age to a certain degree. But a daughter? And you wonder why we're getting, you wonder why, and you wonder why as men we're receiving a certain behaviors from our women. No one is highlighting any of this. No one is actually saying, to make sure that our next generation of sons have good wives, we're putting a stop to it now. No one is putting two and two together. We're just pointing to the end result.
Right.
Thank you, sister. Thank you for... Let me ask you, have you healed throughout all this? And I'm sure the truth have helped you as far as the word of the Most High.
Yes, it has. It took me a long time, Elder Rawchaa, to talk about it and to actually share my story with others that actually been through the same thing as I have. So now that I'm getting to know the Most High and I'm getting to know Christ, it has humbled me a lot. So I can say with the truth now, it has put me in a different perspective. And I thank the Most High as well for me not having that situation, and it turned me into a whole nother person. So I'm thankful for that.
Thank you. All right. And bless you. Bless you.
Elder, have a good day.
All right. Well, the sister's message was deleted. You don't have to delete anyone's message, because a sister pointed out on the chat screen that sisters have to also take ownership and not put themselves out there. Sexually cladded online and walking around, that way. I'm trying to be guarded with my words. But in a nutshell, she's saying that sisters have to take some ownership with how they present themselves. And you know what? That's true. That's true. Of course, there's not a fixed. Every scenario has its own unique reasons to why it is. Okay, because you have daughters who are raised with two-parent families and no dysfunction is going on. And as soon as they get of age, they're willing to to show off their new growths, so to speak. So, yeah, that does need fixing. We're not ignoring that, but I want to talk about the fact that in the Bible even talks about that you give a daughter liberty, that's what she'll become. And it still comes down to the father keeping that daughter under a straight path and watching what she do on social media. Check out her pictures online. Let her know when she's going over the line of modesty. It takes a father, because sometimes a woman, sometimes looking at her daughter growing up, can relate to her daughter growing up and believe that it's cute to some degree. That's where that man comes in that. We're like, no. She can be cute when she's old, when she's living, when she's on her own. Right now, she'll be modest. She got to pay for all the cuteness that you're excusing, and that payment comes with respect for me first. And when she's out on her own, after learning righteously according to the Most High, and she becomes a woman and understand the power of modesty and how to walk as a princess, then it's okay. But men have to take ownership and understand and look at your daughter's phones and all that. Look online, look at the social media, find out what your daughters are doing. That's the father's responsibility. Because in this world, and me and Gaja was laughing about it the other day to some degree, women are more concerned with what the husband is doing, which is good. You should be concerned with what your husband is doing, than what the daughters and what the children are doing. We have to start looking at, listen, look at her social media and see what's going on, and find out who she's parading her body and opening her body for online. But I digress. A few more. 917 area code. Shalom. 6 minutes before overtime.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, so I think fasting is the cure.
Yes, absolutely. Fasting is the cure, but expound.
Yes, I enjoyed the lecture you guys did on fasting. I was wondering if you guys would upgrade it, like maybe
do an updated
maybe
lesson.
Come back with like an upgraded version of fasting, because I think fasting, if it's preached and practiced within our community, it'll help us. Because everything from mental clarity to physical potency, many benefits.
Yeah, we'll do so. We'll do an updated lesson soon on it. Bless you, brother. Great points.
Appreciate it. And one more thing. Does the Bible say anything concerning interracial dating, marriage, or, reproducing interracially?
What you mean interracial dating? Be specific. Let's put it this way. Instead of talking around, are you interested in another race? Are you interested?
Me personally, no.
Okay, so why are you looking?
Once upon a time.
So let me ask you, what is your concerns about it? What is your concerns if you are not looking into that?
It's no concern, but it's just curiosity on to what, if the Bible says something about it, I would like to know. I mean, if it doesn't say anything about it, then...
Well, the Bible does say something about it, but it depends on your circumstance and what you're looking at. Okay, like for instance, there was an interracial marriage where Sarah gave the Egyptian over to Abraham, who had Ishmael. Right? You remember that? Hello? So it depends.
I'm here.
Okay, so it depends on what you're talking about.
I'm not too knowledgeable.
So listen to me. Now listen. So there's scenarios in which the Most High told Isaac and Rebekah told Jacob and Esau not to take women of the Canaanites and the Hittites and all that. He told them specifically not to marry those women. He told them specifically not to marry the Moabites in the other areas, and there was a judgment for that. That would lead the children of Israel to serve the other gods. But now, if you want to know in general what the Most High states, he set the nations according to lines. Where in what's supposed to happen is a nation is supposed to deal with its own nation according to God. That's why he divided the earth in nations. You understand? That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But you can't strive in genealogies and all those things. But try the best you can to stay within your nation according to the Most High. That's it. But I ask you about you because a lot of people deal with curiosity and wondering if it's right or wrong based on someone else. My whole deal is I got to listen. I don't even deal with none of that because I got control in who I'm going to be with. And there's really little control you can say about someone else's choices in relationships. But you can control your choice and marry a daughter of Zion. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's just that out here in New York, I see it a lot. Like from, nowadays, the sisters going to the, they didn't like the Caucasians.
Okay.
And of course, the black males with the.
I'm saying, brother. So what can you do about that?
Like I say, it's just curiosity. I'm just wondering, like, man, does God, like, what does God think about this? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Listen, but what I'm saying is,
listen,
90 seconds.
This is what God said about this. We're living in Babylon. The examples of Babylon is confusion. They all came and intermingled and became one people at the Tower of Babel. I don't even focus on that because at the end of the day, these people are going to do what they want to do with their bodies. I don't even focus on that. Broad is the way. Straight. Listen. Narrow is. Listen, I'm gonna tell you. I'm focused on the kingdom and the Most High. At the end of the day, people are gonna be with who they want to be with. The same way, I can look at many things. I can look at the letter people. And look at it don't look correct to me. I'm against it according to what the word says. But all in all, I'm not going to stop these two dudes from doing whatever they're thinking about doing behind their closed doors. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to lose any sleep about it either. I'm going to
10 seconds.
I'll prophesy according to the Most High, the proper order according to the Lord. He set the nations in bounds. But how can we, to some degree, hold the ignorant accountable to a law they don't know exists? They don't know. Right? So
yeah.
Don't even bother yourself with things that are beyond that are beyond your control.
Yeah.
The Bible tells you that. You can't even waste mind space on that. Okay? Control what you do.
All right.
And you choose right. Okay? All right.
So appreciate you guys. Keep doing your, keep spreading the good word.
Yeah. All right. Bless you.
Good night.
And Shalom, Elders. Gabar from New York.
Yes.
I think Dodger was trying to come in. Just let you know.
Where is
He's on
Dodger?
Skype. He was telling me. Okay.
Oh, yeah, Skype up. I'll pull him in.
I believe he said he was on Skype.
All right, I'll pull him in real
Okay,
quick.
shalom.
We only got a few more. I'm gonna just go 10 minutes over time because I haven't eaten anything. I gotta go eat. But all right. It was a great in-depth understanding today.
Yes, sir.
All praises be to the Most High. Let me pull Rawchaa in.
All right, let me say something real quick before you pull
Go ahead.
Rawchaa in. All for the comments earlier, we mentioned about the modesty and certain things that we have to watch for in our communities. And I see sometimes when comments are made, it's a little bit of a back and forth kind of thing. One thing we want to highlight, and I think we highlighted this throughout this conversation, there's not a one size fits all kind of situation. Like, for example, it's not like because a woman does dress modest that there's not going to be someone who tries to seek to violate her.
Yeah.
You have countries where modesty is the fashion.
And they still have rape cases.
Exactly. What we're saying is with these situations, okay, even if a father is in the house, it doesn't mean that there won't be someone trying to impose themselves.
Yeah.
What we're saying is that, going back to the lesson this past Sabbath, that there's a disease in the hearts of men and women throughout the four corners of the earth, and that the Most High sent Christ and allowed or sent him to shed his blood so that we can have an opportunity to fix that disease within our hearts.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's the ultimate thing we're getting to. It's not a one size fit all kind of thing that we're dealing with here.
Yeah, and that's what the Spirit does, though. You put out the information, you put out the understanding and the resolve in all cases, and people, whoever you are as an individual, you take that information and use it for your specific scenarios you're exhibiting.
Exactly.
That's what it's about, right? Let me bring in Elder Rawchaa. Hold on. Shalom, Rawchaa.
Shalom, Elder. Shalom.
Shalom. Bless you, Elder. How you doing?
I'm blessed. All praises to the Most High. All things on your side.
You know me, I'm blessed by the Most High, and I can't wait. I'll be the whole week leading up into Purim. I'll be in London. I'll be in England. And guess what? It'll never be the same after this trip. I'm talking about the British world will not be the same after this trip. We're going to hit the streets. We're coming with our tunics. We're coming with our mitris. And we're looking to uniform the whole England. Well, hey, it's coming. Talk to me.
Hey, sounds great, man. Sounds great. I don't know if you spoke to Rawchaa. We got some permission to preach in the Netherlands for one day.
I heard about it, but I got to talk to you about that afterwards.
Okay, all right. No problem.
But we need to seize that opportunity. It's on my mind. We'll talk afterwards. But go ahead. What you had to say? You're live.
Hey, I'm just listening, man, to the broadcast. You with me? As the topic states about the subculture that destroys us. You with me? I think once we can overcome that, then we on a great path to healing one and second gathering the nation. You with me? Yeah. So it's right on. There's not really much I can bring. You with me?
Yeah.
That hasn't already been brought out in this discussion. So I'm just here listening and taking it in.
Praise the Most High. Okay, so put yourself on mute. Let me go down the line before at the end, I'll just yield it to all of you, okay?
Okay, no problem.
My brother. 917 area code.
I'll put it to all of you, okay?
917 area code.
Okay, no problem. My brother. 917 area code.
Hello?
Shalom, talk to me.
Shalom, elders.
Talk to me. Shalom. How are you?
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I was thinking about the spirit of molestation, and I see you reading about the testimony of Levi, and my family is of Levi, and one thing that is really controlling the tribe of Levi is the spirit of lust and the spirit of sexual perversion. And most of them, and especially most of the young men in Levi, they grew up thinking being taught by the older men, that it's okay for them to be whoremongers, to have multiple wives or multiple girlfriends.
the more girlfriends they have in their black book, the many they are. And me, I grew up in a family where sexual molestation was a thing of the day. My father, he was like a 32-degree Mason, and when I come to think about it, I found out that he had all of us girls. It was just the breeding people, to collect our virginity. Because when he died, I found out that all my sisters, they were all molested, and the youngest one was like 5 years old. Actually, she was molested when she was a little baby because she was not of my mother's. She was not my mother's daughter. She was the mother of one of our servants, the daughter of one of our servants. And on the time that she was born, my father was molesting her. And I had an aunt that was there, and she was a policy, what do you call that? A cover. She was making things easy for him to do. And at the same time, she was protecting her own children from not being, protecting herself, as she said, and her children from not being molested. But all the girls in the house were all molested as young kids. All of them lost their virginity. None of us know when we were virgin, if we were ever virgin. None of us know what happened to us. It's only when he died that I was able to meet with my other sisters, and I had a meeting with them, and we started talking, and we find out what was happening. Because after the death of my father, that woman who was our aunt, she was trying to continue to see if she could perpetuate the thing in our family. And lo and behold, since I was the oldest, she approached me thinking that I was going to be okay with it, but she did not know who she was talking to. I let her spill her gut, and then I had to deal with her. So I had all my sisters and all my family get together, and we exposed everything that was happening. And I told her that she's lucky, because if it was like somewhere else, I would have dealt with her differently. And I was able to ask her why she was doing that, and she was saying that she was afraid. So therefore, everyone in the community knew what my father was doing. Besides, he was in the church. He was somebody who was teaching baptism, right, to members. So everybody in his church knew what he was doing, and they were facilitating him because he had money. He was always this big tithe in the church. So whatever he did was okay. So it's something that is happening that is rampant in our black community, and everybody covers it and everybody allowed it because it is mostly a financial thing also. Because those who have money, they use the ones that are less fortunate and use their kids, whether it is for sacrifices or whether it is for other things. But in my family, that was what was going on.
Hey, sister, before you go on,
yes,
you've hit. I already had the scriptures going with Elder Lawya. You hit the nail on the head. The behavior is often overlooked, and why. And this is the deep that we talked about molestation and how our children are continually victimized without protection. The key element, the key component that no one has examined in our communities is that these are ritualistic sacrifices. That's why you see it prevalent within the Christian churches, the Catholic churches, even amongst Islam. You said your father was 33-degree Mason. What they're not saying is the ritualistic part of all of this. And I want to read it real quick because this is why none of the Christians and none of them want to deal with the Old Testament and the Bible to identify the root spirit that have always been against children. Satan requires it. Satan requires molestation. Satan requires child sacrifice. And these are the authoritative figures that have been placed all over our communities, over these religions, over these Freemason halls. It's required. Our children are being born in a ritualistic controlled community, and you don't realize it. Let's read it real quick.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to let you come back in, sister.
I'm going to read first in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 21.
Come on.
And thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Moloch, neither shalt thou profane the name of the Lord thy God, for I am the Lord.
So all the Babylonian religions outside of the children of Israel's land would have their children handed over, sacrificed, molested, and all that to Moloch. That was part of the ritualistic settings of all Babylonian churches and institutions, even back then. Let's go. Let's read it.
Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse number 10.
Read.
There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch.
You see how it's all connected? Witchcraft, sorcery, voodoo. See it, sister? At the end of the day, all of the gods they're worshiping requires innocent blood. So what happens? So what happens? So check it out. So what happens is, just say one of them get violated by one of these wizards, sorcerers, and evildoers in our communities, and now it's led in one of our homes where our innocent children lies after they've been victimized. Usually those victims become predators, and it becomes a perpetual generational curse amongst our community. And it continually gone on unrecognized. Next scripture, Elder Lawya. Man, that's all we need to say. You have the last word on that before we take the last phone call, sister.
And so what you said is true, Elder. So that's why, when I realized that, I had to cry to the Most High and really understand what was going on in my family to break that curse and not allow my kids to perpetuate it. And not only do that, but also expose what was going on so that they will not do it undercover. Because that's what is happening. Things that are happening, and everybody's covering for one another because they're all part of the same set. They're all part of the same secret society. That's why, in the churches it's happening, and no one is saying anything because the pastor and the bishop or the deacons, they all worship the same demons at night. So they facilitate the praying over the young people or over the kids, and it's no problem. Even if you address it, they will deny it. Because when I even my father, even before he died, I tried to confront him and ask him why you're doing these things like that. Because after I reconciled with myself and I prayed to the Most High to clean me, to purify me and restore me, I forgave him even before I asked him, what was going on. I forgave him so that I can have peace of mind. And I went to him and tried to understand why he was doing it. He could not give me an answer. He said that his father used to abuse him, even though the father was not abusing him, sexually, but he was abusing him physically and mentally. So he thought it was okay to pass it to his generation.
Look at that.
And that's how he died. He died without ever, asking for forgiveness, ever reconciling with his mother. But I said, you know what? I will not perpetuate this wickedness in my family. You understand? And I asked the Most High to reverse the tide in my life, and not myself to be an abuser or to perpetuate the wickedness of my forefathers.
And I thank the Most High because with this knowledge, with the understanding, with your relationship now in knowing the Most High, you're the example of those who are breaking the curse. And we have to praise, we have to thank the Most High for that. See how you was able to overcome it, articulate it, express what happened to you after overcoming it, having the strength now to protect our children who comes after us. This is what this truth is all about, sister, breaking the curse. Thank you for sharing, okay?
That's why I embrace this truth too, Elder.
Bless you. Bless you. Bless you. See, because guess what? These are the first steps to freedom. Identifying things, not covering it up anymore, and actually as men beginning to unite as a nation and to do something about it. But we've been so confused and fractured as a nation that there was never a time in which we can actually have these conversations to say, here's the root of the dysfunction. And now men of the Most High can now have meetings on how we're going to implement protection measures.
That's right.
But protection measures are here. Okay, let's make that clear. 702 area code and 440 area code first. Matter of fact, there's other people. Yeah. Let's see. Was that 678? Where's 678 at? I've seen 678. 678 area code. They've been waiting 47 minutes. Shalom. You're live with the Gathering of Christ Church. We're about to break down.
Brothers.
Shalom. You're live with the Gathering of Christ Church. How are you?
Well, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sister. You're on.
Through my experience, I want to answer one of the questions that you've asked. What can we do about it?
Yeah.
And through my experience, what I learned to do about it was to take a stand. I had to learn how to break the curse. And in breaking that curse, I had to walk away from a mother that watched it, allowed it, and I had to raise children.
Man, hold up, sister.
Protecting
I'm hearing
them.
It's deep that I'm hearing this. What I'm saying is, it's confusing to me. What I'm hearing more and more and more is that this is a normal thing that mothers allow. That's scary. But go on.
Very scary. It is very scary, especially when you didn't want us as children and you left us with our father. And you picked me up at a fragile age with a stepfather that you allowed to have this done to me. Plus, I had to experience the curse trickling down with my stepbrother. But I'm so cool with it. I can bring out a sword to anyone that really talks about it. And I think it's because when my dad had me, he gave me permission to question what was wrong. We have to give ourselves permission to question what is wrong and trust that we can trust in the Father to guide us. Because when this happened to me and I walked away from that family, I was 16. I had it in my mind to do it at 16. I did it at 17, and I had 4 children, and I kept doing it. I broke the curse because my dad gave me permission to do so, and this is so why we need men. You know, we concentrate on the fathers and women's lives. We need men to talk to the women. It's all right to talk to us about being molested. We're okay, but support the men and women that have done it, that have broken away, so that we can help the other women, so that we can really, really start talking about it. Because we are not talking about it. I am from a ministry family. I stepped down from the pulpit. I watched my family. This is straight out of church. I'm dealing with people that are claiming to be church folks. And I did it. I did it, and I'm not the only one. The other women that I've heard from have done it. But what have really helped me to really, really overcome it is studying with GOCC. Even from being a minister, stepping off the pulpit, I'm relearning.
So you was a minister. You were a minister in the church. You were a minister in the church.
Right. So I seen this, and it confused me even more to how do we do this? How do we let this happen? And even from my own experience, because I kept going back and forth. It's a very tragic emotion to women. Very, very devastating. It is truly a devastating thing when women are molested. But we got to understand, someone brought out a point. There are levels of molestation too. And some of them that continue is when you're blaming yourself, when you know doggone well you provoked it. So there are levels of molestation, and we have to dig at it. And one more thing I would like to add is this is why society comes at our nation with this perversion, because they know that we don't talk about it. They don't have to talk about it, but we do. And if we don't take a stand, we will always be offering our children to Moloch.
I appreciate it, sister. Thanks for your testimony. Man.
Welcome.
Thank you for breaking the curse and standing against it. Thank you. One more call, then of course I have to bring in the elders. I got Elder Rawchaa and Elder Gabar. And of course you can have your last word in it.
Yes, sir.
901 area code. This is our last call before we have the elders. Matter of fact, there's one other call that's here. You're live. Okay, I'm sorry. It's too much in the background. I apologize. 216 area code. 216 area code. There's too much noise. I'm sorry. I have to go to the next call. 443 area code. 443. Shalom.
Shalom, elders. My name's Chris, and I've been luckily to come across you guys, and I thank you, Most Higher, for allowing me to come across you guys. I wanted to talk. Basically, I lost a son in 2002 to my children's mother's husband, and what happened was my son was hit in the chest, and he bled eternally. And by me going through that in 2002, I still kept my faith in. Yeah, I kept my faith still going, searching for the Father's face. You know, it says searching diligently, and that's what I kept doing, is searching diligently for the truth. And I was raised up as my mother was a Jehovah's Witness, and I was raised up in that. And I know a lot what goes on with their supposedly cult, and I just wanted to share my story that, you know what I mean, brothers and sisters, like, we can make it through this. A higher gives us the strength to go through this. And I made it through it, and it's a scripture in Revelations 21:4, and it says, and God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There shall be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying. There shall be no more pain, for the former things have passed away. And that's what I look forward to. You know, that I look forward to that day where the Father could bring us all, you know, bring things back in order. So
let me ask you.
I definitely wanted to share my story.
Let me ask you this. You know, and I can understand if you don't want to talk about it. I can understand it because I know this is a very touchy scenario. Okay. With your son. And you got, brother, you have my deepest condolences. But let me ask you, what have happened to the guy who did this? Is he in jail? What happened to him?
Actually, I didn't know because, and I still don't know right now, because what they did was, when this happened, they banned me from coming to the courtroom. For one, they said I was a witness. They didn't want me near the courtroom. They don't give me no information. They normally supposed to give you information when something like this occurs to your family members about the updates of the prisoner, but I don't know what's going on. They kind of exiled me. They kind of like pushed me aside and basically said, well, you know what, you know, we don't have to tell him nothing. And I think they give my mother information, but I don't think she wants to give me information because she feels as though that, you know, I may do something. But I think they gave him 15 years plus 10. I think it was. I think they gave him second. Not. I think it's manslaughter. I think it wasn't murder, but I think they gave him something, a little bit lesser crime.
Yeah, because they probably ruled that it wasn't. He didn't mean to do that. But
Actually,
but he's still serving time.
Right.
Let me ask you this: how is it that your son was in a position to be harmed by this man?
Well, what happened was, come to find out, there was a lot of police reports going on, and what happened was he was putting his hands on my children's mother. It was a lot of police reports, and
so this was her.
I guess
this was her boyfriend after both of you have broken up. This is who she allowed in her home.
Yes, and he wasn't supposed to be. She was on housing and everything, but she actually got married to him.
When you say she was on housing,
so sad that
so she was taking care of him. He didn't have his own place. She had a place in her name and brought him in amongst your children.
Correct.
Okay.
And allowed this to keep transpiring. And something was coming to me, Elder. Something was coming to me that something was wrong, and I reached out to my mom, and they was just think, oh well, you just insecure, just let her live her life. She's and I was like, nah, something ain't right. But people don't believe you until it actually happened. And once it happened, my mom was like, oh son, you was so right. And it was just painful going to the hospital with my children's mother not telling me what happened. I was confused. There was like a lot of police there. And I got the call, fell to my knees, and I just asked the Father, don't let it be happening. Then when it finally sunk in, it was true. So but ever since then I've been sticking with you guys, and I listen to you guys all the time, and I'm just so glad to be able to share the story and just tell the brothers, man, we can make it through this.
That's right.
Zion, and we're gonna make it through this.
Hey brother, listen.
The Father guide us.
Hey brother, thank you for sharing this, and I'll tell you this, brother, you're not alone. And it guess what? It takes a lot of strength for a man to actually break down and express these particular types of stories. And brother, and I'm gonna tell you, your testimony will give other strengths, other people strength, brother. And you have my deepest condolences. But if you stay on this path with the Most High, and I'll tell you, you're gonna see your son again, brother. You'll see him again.
All praises.
All right.
All praises, Most High.
All right, brother.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Elder.
Okay, thank you. Now, Elder, as you can see, now we're gonna move to the elders before we end.
Yes, sir.
As you can see, we were able to have what you would call a highlighting of what happens in our communities when it comes to because the title is from unrighteousness to righteousness, highlighting the subculture behaviors that we often overlook, so that now our people can tend to now scream, on the rooftops and not stay silent concerning things that have been hurting us in the past, right? Now, through this, you notice there was very little talk about what the white man is doing and what the government is doing. And I always go there. You know why? That's the diversion. What's more heinous? What the white man did from slavery and all that, and what's going on with the system he set up to keep himself in power? Or what we allow to happen continually within our communities? I'm talking about the ills that we as individuals have power to change. What should our focus more so be? Elder Lawya.
Well, absolutely. Of course, the focus should be what's going on in our communities, our immediate families, as someone mentioned earlier. These issues, a lot of the things we're facing in the society that allow the nations to continue to impose their will upon us are things that we don't first, instill within the home and instill within our family, instill within our wives, or that's instilled in the man to be able to properly even deal with the family and protect his family. from the things that are taking place on the outside. So I think definitely a concerted effort has to be put, especially in this time period with all that's going on, has to first be placed on our immediate family, raising them up on the foundation that the Lord set. And again, last but not least, making sure that we are using this information, we're using the laws of God as a way to heal ourselves and not as a way to perpetuate the issues that are going on in our communities.
Thank you, Elder. And fixing the man and building up boys to men who will protect the women and families going forward. Raising men to break the generational curse. Okay? Because with that alliance in the spirit, Israelite men who are following Christ, upholding God's law, that alone is a built-in protector. That the devil and his minions would dare to cross. Okay? It starts. All right, Elder Gabar. Shalom. Elder Gabar, you there? Okay.
Yes, sir. I'm here. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
we just giving you
in class. Absolutely.
Yeah, we giving you and Elder Gaja the last word.
Let me just be real quick. Just powerful lesson today, but in regard to what we were discussing earlier today and everything that was discussed today with brothers and sisters, but especially brothers, because the Most High has anointed brothers to be the head and the protectors of the church, his flock, that this is not our rest, and we are literally behind enemy lines. And I think we forget that because, we're comfortable. We have a job, we have a home, we have a fridge, we have, these things, a car, maybe, things of that nature. And this is the way things are supposed to be. But now is the time to prepare because the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Okay, and the day of the Lord is darkness and not light. And let me read the book, Amos 5:20, which reads, "Shall not the day of the Lord be darkness and not light, even very dark, and no brightness in it?" So what is the scripture saying? That it's time for us to strap at our loins and strap at our bravery and our faith and our seriousness and say, you know what, this is not our rest. So therefore, when we are in a situation where we are gathered together and we're fellowshipping and things like that, we should appreciate that because that is a little glimpse of our rest, if you will. That's what the Shabbat represents, rest.
Yes.
But the other 6 days during the week is war. It's preparation. It's getting ready. So I just wanted to leave with this and things of that nature, that we have to build this nation. And, a lot of people that know me, I'm very passionate. I'm yelling. I'm getting sore throat and all that. Every pastor will lose my sore throat and things of that nature because I really understand and really love my people. And it hurts me in the condition that we're in. I mean, the testimony I've heard today is just, I feel like people kind of weight about it. It's like, good Lord, you know it's bad, and you read it, and but when you hear it, and you literally are touching and feeling threatened to your face, it's a different animal, man. And it's time for the men to get up and do what we need to do, and stop complaining. We got to get this nation running. We have to get ready because the war's coming. And Elder, the dream you and I discussed I had. The war's coming. We got to prepare. So I'm going to leave with that. Shalom.
Shalom, Elder. And that was poignant, right to the point. And I'll tell you this. Yeah, it's time. It's time. And hearing it. And what are our sisters saying? And sometimes our sisters have that wall in front of them. They have that posterity. They have that thing in which no one can get into that because they put up a wall, a veil, a brick wall, a building to protect themselves, understanding what happened to them. And really what I'm hearing here without even being said is our women are calling out for help. They don't know how to because they haven't been taught how to, but they're calling out for help. And to some degree, none of that is being heard from a world perspective. Just the end result of what we're seeing, just what's the end result of the curse is being what's magnified and talked about, and not the cry for help. When you see a woman just showing her body and doing all that, that's a cry for help. Mm-hmm. When you see a person who feel that giving their body over to something, to someone with zero self-worth, without getting anything in return, not getting fulfilled according to how she knows a relationship should be, that's crying for help. And instead of looking at that, blaming it, it's up to us to build a defense and a strength and a rest, a place where sisters can rest, and be secure knowing that their protectors have taken their position as protectors. Elder Rawchaa. You there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
You have the last word, Elder.
Well, yeah, the Bible says in the presence of the elders, use not many words. It's not too much I can say here. It's a profound lesson broadcast. Just want to let me back off Elder Gabar there. Yeah, man. War is here. It's not even coming. It's here. And failure to prepare, we are preparing to fail. Let me just read a quick scripture here from out of the book of Matthew. The Messiah puts it the best. It says, "For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor even shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh be saved. But for that the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened." So when you look at the craziness going on right now, you're speaking about molestation and within families. I had a situation dealing with that this morning. And to come onto the broadcast right now and hear this conversation coming on, it deep within itself, because we had no conversations before this. Mm-hmm. You're looking at the news coverage of how they're pushing the influenza, saying that there's influenza going on, and how they are attacking the people. And the war is coming up where nobody's hearing about that war and what that is entailing. Found out earlier today that they're saying that Puerto Rico, based on all the seismic activity going on under Puerto Rico, that Puerto Rico might end up under the water. Puerto Rico goes underwater, the effect it would have on the islands going underwater within the region.
It was prophesied.
Nobody thought. Yeah. Sorry?
I say it was prophesied.
Yes, sir. Nobody talking about that. The volcanic activities going on in the earth right now, blotting out the sunlight. In that day, the sun shall not give her light. So all of these things happening right now, real time happening. Nobody is talking about it. Nobody is looking at it. But we hear the war is here. It's here.
Yes, it's
here.
Always been here. Yeah, we're here.
Our men need to get in order first. Our men need to get in order. Our sisters need to follow that order. It is for self-preservation. They need to follow that order. That we're moving into that time right now where, hey, listen, it's self-preservation. Another scripture that comes to mind. I said I'm going to keep it short. Another scripture that comes to mind, Ezekiel 20:33. Let me read it. All right? Let me read it real quick, elders, please. Ezekiel 20:33. And it reads, As I live, it saith the Most High Power, surely with a mighty hand and with stretched out arm and with fury poured out, I will rule over you. And I will bring you from the people and will gather you out of the countries wherein you are scattered with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face, like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt. So will I plead with you, saith the Most High Power, and I will cause you to pass under the rod. Now we know the rod is the law. And I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. The covenant was made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I will purge out from among you the rebels, and them that transgress against me. And I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn. And they shall not enter into the land of Israel. And you shall know that I am the Most High your power. And you know, some elder, these scriptures taking on new life. Because anything outside of Jerusalem is wilderness. And we see that purge going on now. We see that gathering going on now. We see that calling going on now. We at war. And we'll leave it at that. Shalom.
Shalom. I'll talk with you soon, elders. Hey, we bought it today, and guess what? We're going to move this spirit throughout the earth through the Spirit of Christ and gather the elect to the elect. I'm going to end it with Elder Lawya. What is the academy? What is the breakdown for the academy this Sunday?
This Sunday will be a very interesting lesson. We're going to take it from a very interesting point of view.
Yeah.
Israelite doctrine and culture. Okay. The way we're going to approach it, I'll speak to you as far as how we're going to approach it. But it's
so we're going to break down Israelite culture, Israelite doctrines that are out there, because all Israel is not of Israel. So we have to get beyond the fact that the blacks are the Israelites that are scattered. We all know that now. But all Israel is not of Israel. What is the true doctrine according to Christ? And truth, show them the shirt, Elder Lawya. Truth over tradition. A lot of people believe the truth is just putting on the traditions written of in the Old Testament. But that's being a Jew outwardly. When are we going to become the Israelite who is Christ? And that's what we're going to talk about. Absolutely. Going into the whole Israelite Old Testament. We've been going to go into the history of Israelites who knew they were Israelites coming off the slave ships, teaching it in the Americas, and how it progressed to what we have today.
Exactly.
Many of the so-called, since the mainstream media want to talk about Israelites now, they would make you believe it's some fringe thing came out of black people not having an identity, as if we didn't have that identity coming off the slave ships. Hey, you'll hear about it this Sunday in the Hebrew and Bible Academy. You can send an email to gatheringas1@AOL.com or go to historytimes.org or historytimes.org and enroll right there, or gatheringofchrist.org. You can also order on our website, gatheringofchrist.org, the new GOCC 2020 Hebrew calendar. They give you the correct Sabbaths, the correct holy days according to the 364-day cycle. The Most High, we've put in a lot of work to prepare this information for you so that we're in course with the heavens, on course with the heavens. So make sure you get your calendar. I'll see you soon in England in a couple of weeks. May the Most High be with you. Stay prayed up. Sin not. We will soon see Zion. Shalom.
Shalom.